Chapter 5792. Lin Xian and the others left, leaving behind only endless shock. The people in the restaurant came back to their senses and exclaimed, "Too powerful. There was actually such an expert in the human race. He must be from the great Xia dynasty. He was actually a genius who controlled the dragon race." It was over. The dragon race was angry. They would definitely not let him off. There were many experts in the dragon race now. Everyone was discussing animatedly. On Lin Xian's side, they were quickly on their way. Long Yun took them to a palace of the dragon race. It was a stronghold of the dragon race nearby. It was incomparably grand. There were many figures inside. There were dragons and flood dragons. It was very lively. These people had powerful auras. Compared to humans of the same realm and other clans, they were much stronger. This was the innate advantage of bloodline. "Young Master Long Yun, you're back." Someone below hurriedly bowed. "Young Master, who are these people?" They saw that behind Long Yun, Lin Xian, and the others were following. Long Yun asked, "Where's the palace master?" In the main hall. The patriarch of the flood dragon race had come. Long Yun nodded and continued to lead Lin Xian towards the main hall. In this main hall, many people from the flood dragon race had come. They were holding countless gifts. Opposite them sat a man from the dragon race. Although both sides were great saints, the patriarch of the flood dragon race was obviously trying to curry favor with the other party. What the two sides were discussing was the marriage of the flood dragon princess and Long Yun. At this time, Long Yun walked over. The Cloud Thunder Palace Master called out, "Long Yun, you're here."
"I was just talking about you."
Even the flood dragon patriarch nodded with a smile. "Greetings, young Master Long Yun." Long Yun stood there and didn't say anything. This made the flood dragon race frown. Their patriarch personally greeted the other party, but the other party actually ignored him. This was too arrogant. Although they were the flood dragon race, the patriarch's status was extraordinary. The Cloud Thunder Palace Master also frowned. "Yun'er, don't be rude." However, Long Yun still stood there without saying a word. What was going on? This was too presumptuous. The Cloud Thunder Palace Master was so angry that his face turned pale. At this time, a voice came from behind Long Yun. "He won't listen to you because he will only listen to me." Lin Xian and the others walked out. "Who are you people?" When the Cloud Thunder Palace Master looked at the other party, his brows were tightly knitted together. A snake, a toad, and a human actually dared to enter the territory of the Dragon Clan. "Men, where are the guards? Suppress them for me. Is this Long Yun crazy? How could he bring such an ant over?" The surrounding Dragon Clan guards rushed over, but they were all sent flying by a single punch from the Crimson Dragon. Over 100 figures were shattered in the air. The dark red divine dragon waved its hand and sealed the entire hall with a formation. The people of the Jiao Dragon tribe stood up abruptly in fear. The pupils of the Palace Master of the Thunder Cloud Palace shrank as well. "This snake is so powerful. Who are you people?" he asked coldly. Lin Xian said, "It's someone you look up to. Tell me, where is Long Xiaotian?" Audacious. The Cloud Thunder Palace Lord roared in rage. Qin Wentian didn't know the difference between life and death. He blasted out with his palm, causing a thunderous boom to ring out. His palm turned into a cloud, with terrifying thunderbolts spreading over it. This was his unique skill. Everything that was enveloped by it would be destroyed by this force. How powerful! The people of the Flood Dragon tribe were shocked. Even the tribe leader sucked in a breath of cold air. Although they were both great saints, the strength of the other party was much more powerful than his. This was also the reason why he had to curry favor with the other party. In his opinion, this young man from the human race was definitely dead. The Cloud Thunder Palace Lord's palm slapped hard on Lin Xian's body. Around Lin Xian, the sky fell and the earth cracked. Great, he killed him with one move. The people of the Flood Dragon clan laughed. The Cloud Thunder Palace Lord snorted coldly. "Such an ant dares to behave atrociously in front of me?" The Dragon Clan was indeed powerful. With such strength in the Great Saint Realm, they were far more powerful than other clans. The The sound of a bell rang out from the shattered void in front of him. Why, he's not dead yet. The Cloud Thunder Palace Lord's pupils shrank, and the flood dragons were also dumbfounded. In the next moment, they saw Lin Xian walk out unscathed. How is this possible? They looked as if they had seen a ghost. Even the Cloud Thunder Palace Lord's expression changed drastically. He roared furiously and wanted to attack again. However, Lin Xian continued to walk forward, allowing the thousands of attacks to land on his body. But they couldn't tear open his defense. Lin Xian shook his head. Stop struggling. A mere great saint is no match for me.
What?
A mere great saint? Is your realm above the great saint realm?
He didn't dare to imagine.
Above the great saint realm was the quasi-emperor. Was this human youth a quasi-emperor? In Lin Xian's body, the dragon's soul sounded.
Puff.
The Cloud Thunder Palace Lord spat out a mouthful of old blood. His body was torn apart and fell to the ground. He was terrified. This was the voice of a dragon. The power in the other party's body was even more terrifying than his. The other party was a dragon of the Dragon Clan. When did such a terrifying master come out? Lin Xian looked at him and said coldly, "Tell me, where is Long Xiaotian?" The Cloud Thunder Grand Sage was completely stunned. The flood dragons next to him all knelt on the ground in fear.
Help me!
The Cloud Thunder Grand Sage roared. In the distance, two figures rose into the air. They were the other two great saints. They had been cultivating in seclusion. When they heard the cry for help, they immediately rushed out. Stop! Go to hell! The two great saints were very fast. In an instant, they came to the top of the hall and slapped at the array. However, the two flew out like a kite with a broken string, vomiting blood. One of them shouted in shock, "What array is this? We can't break it." The other great saint also went crazy. "Who on earth is here?" In the hall, the people of the Flood Dragon clan were dumbfounded. Two great saints working together couldn't even break the array? Who on earth are these people? The Cloud Thunder Palace Lord was also desperate. Lin Xian snorted coldly. "Since you don't want to tell me, I'll collect your soul myself." He used his Rinnegan and enveloped the other party's soul. The Cloud Thunder Grand Sage let out a miserable cry. Before long, Lin Xian withdrew his gaze and frowned slightly. "Don't you know? This Long Xiaotian is really mysterious. Who is the senior?" The two great saints outside took a deep breath and asked with cupped fists. It seemed that the strength of the newcomer was much stronger than theirs. It was very likely that he was a terrifying old monster. Therefore, they didn't dare to make a move again. Lin Xian looked into the distance, stood with his hands behind his back, and said coldly, "From now on, the Cloud Dragon clan will respect me."
What?
Those people from the Cloud Dragon clan are all crazy. They respect Long Xiaotian as their leader. Long Xiaotian was unparalleled in talent and would become the Dragon Emperor in the future. Their Cloud Dragon clan would definitely soar into the sky. Now, it was impossible for them to respect the other party. Dare to resist? I'll give you a chance to choose. Those who resist will be like him. Lin Xian glanced over, waved his hand, and directly cut the Cloud Thunder Palace Lord in half. The Cloud Thunder Palace Lord died before he could even scream. The other people of the Cloud Dragon clan felt their scalps go numb. A great saint was easily killed just like that. The other two great saints were also scared out of their wits. What kind of means is this? He killed the Cloud Thunder Palace Lord as if he were cutting vegetables. Is the other party really above the Great Saint realm? Chapter 5793. We are willing to submit. The two great saints took the lead and knelt down in the void. If the other party wanted to kill them, it should be something that could be done with a raise of his hand. They had to submit. Lin Xian said, "Okay, listen carefully. Call me Dragon God from now on. Now I'll give you two tasks. First, find Dragon Xiaotian for me. Where is he? Secondly, gather resources for me. Gather all the cultivation resources for me." The people of the Cloud Dragon clan began to move. The two great saints came to Lin Xian's side, their bodies trembling. Lin Xian looked at the two and said, "Don't worry, Work hard for me. If I'm satisfied, I may let you break through again and become an existence above the great saint."
Really?
The two great saints raised their heads with fire in their eyes. Above the great saint was the quasi-emperor. However, that step was as difficult as ascending to the sky. They probably couldn't reach it in their lifetime. Moreover, even if it was Long Xiaotian, it was impossible to do it so easily. "Why? Don't you believe what I said?" Lin Xian glanced at the two, and the two only felt that their souls were sucked into a vortex storm. It seemed that the other party could destroy them with a glance. How terrifying was this human? Why did it feel like he was Dragon Xiaotian? Could it be that another peerless genius had appeared in their dragon clan? "Don't worry, Dragon God. We will do our best." Lin Xian waved his hand and asked them to hurry up and do their work. Lin Xian didn't stay idle. He went to many places, set up many arrays, and began to collect resources. At first, the Crimson Dragon and the Toad were puzzled. "Boy, what are you going to do?" Lin Xian explained, "It's not easy to come to 100,000 years in the past. Don't you think we should make a good arrangement? Think about it, if an ordinary tree can grow 100,000 years in the future, how amazing it is. Let's prepare some resources now and preserve them well. When we return 100,000 years later, we will find that place and open it. Think about it, what kind of scene will that be?" After hearing this, the Crimson Dragon and the Toad's eyes lit up. That would be a shocking wealth. Then what are we waiting for? Hurry up and arrange more, looking for Long Xiaotian. You can't kill him anyway. The Crimson Dragon also said, "I think we'd better arrange the resources with all our strength." Lin Xian said, "Of course we need to set up resources. Moreover, we need to spread them out in many places. After all, 100,000 years is too long. No one knew what would happen during this period. Even if we set it up now, we might be discovered once we leave. Therefore, it was necessary to hide and disperse as much as possible." As for Long Xiaotian, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. "Yes, although he became the Dragon Emperor later on, I won't let things go so smoothly for him. Even if he couldn't kill him, he still had to severely suppress him and snatch more of his opportunities." Little White hurriedly looked around. Where was the treasure? The Crimson Dragon and the others began to act frantically. These people were all very strong. The Crimson Dragon became 6-crown king, and the Toad and Xiao Bai became quasi-emperors one after another. After all, they stayed by Lin Xian's side and enjoyed too many resources. Especially Little White, this little guy was very mysterious. Although he didn't usually fight, his strength couldn't be underestimated. These three people began to act frantically. The Crimson Dragon even set up a space transmission array. They had to gather as many resources as they could in the universe for themselves in 100,000 years. On the other side, the Cloud Dragon clan was also frantically collecting information. Soon, two great saints came to Lin Xian's side and said respectfully, "Dragon God, we found some news." Lin Xian asked, "Is it about Long Xiaotian?" One of the great saints said, "Long Xiaotian's whereabouts are strange, and he seems to have something important to do recently, so he hasn't appeared. We don't know, but we did find out that there's another piece of news. It's about Long Xiaotian's Dao companion, Fairy Longyu." "Longyu?" Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. "Isn't it just the Dragon Queen?" The Dragon Queen from 100,000 years ago was very arrogant. She even went to Shinnong to attack him. Now, he actually got the news. Long Xiaotian wasn't here, so Lin Xian had to punish Longyu properly. He asked, "Oh, where?" Lin Xian was a little excited. Longyu Fairy would represent the Dragon Clan at the Chaos Wine Banquet. What was the Chaos Wine Banquet? The two great saints were stunned. "You don't know?" Lin Xian didn't explain, and the two didn't dare to ask again. They quickly told him about the Chaos Wine Banquet. It was a place of chaos discovered by the Great Xia dynasty. They used the power of chaos to brew wine and hold a banquet called the Chaos Wine Banquet. This time, it was hosted by the 9th prince of the Great Xia dynasty. He invited all worlds to taste it. The Dragon Clan was naturally invited, but Long Xiaotian didn't go. He sent Longyu.
"I see."
After hearing this, Lin Xian understood. He asked, "Is this ninth prince the crown prince?" "That's right. The Great Xia dynasty had 9 princes and 1 princess."
So many?
Lin Xian was shocked. 100,000 years later, he found that those great emperor families seemed to only have 1 prince. "Okay, leave the news of the chaos wine banquet here, and then you can leave." The 2 great saints put down a scroll, then bowed and left. After they left, Lin Xian asked, "De Long, what's going on? Is there anything special about the Great Xia dynasty?"
De Long said, "No.
Actually, a great emperor doesn't only have 1 descendant. A great emperor can have many. A great emperor could live for a long time. Even if he existed in the world, it would be 10 or 20,000 years. In these 10 or 20,000 years, if his descendants couldn't become great emperors, they would probably die one after another. And if a great emperor found that he had no hope of becoming an immortal, then he would probably use all kinds of methods. Therefore, the ones who sealed the surviving descendants and waited for the opportunity to come were either the youngest descendant of a great emperor or the most beloved descendant of a great emperor. As for the others, they might not be so lucky. They would turn into dust along with the passage of time. "I see." After Lin Xian heard this, he also took a deep breath. Even a great emperor could only have 1 descendant? How cruel. Time was merciless. Shaking his head, Lin Xian didn't think about these things for now. He was ready to go to the chaos wine banquet. Long Yu represented the Dragon Clan. What right did she have? "I want to represent the Dragon Clan." A cold light appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. He sent a voice transmission to the Crimson Dragon and the others. "Come back. I'll take you to see a good show." Hearing Lin Xian's next sentence, the Crimson Dragon and the others hurriedly used spatial transmission and jumped over. "Kid, is it true? There's news of the Dragon Queen. 100,000 years ago, we were fine. Can we torture the Dragon Queen?" The toad's eyes also lit up. Lin Xian waved his hand and said, "Let's go. Let's go to the chaos wine banquet." The group set off. They weren't the only ones going. Lin Xian had also brought the great sages of the Cloud Dragon clan and some elders with him. Chapter 5794. The Chaos Wine Banquet was in a land of chaos. This place had the power to split the heavens and earth apart. It was very magical and countless people yearned for it. However, it now belonged to the Great Xia dynasty. The Great Xia dynasty had an emperor. Was there any land under the heavens that belonged to the emperor? Who would dare to fight for it? Even the dragon race, who was at the peak of their power, did not dare to. They could only be invited. Those who were invited this time were all big clans in the universe. Lin Xian flew along and met many people. He had seen these people 100,000 years later. For example, Feng Feng and the Holy Heavens race. There were also the ancient families and peerless sects that he had seen before. 100,000 years ago, they had all existed. Of course, not all of them. There were some that Lin Xian had never seen before. In the past 100,000 years, many families and sects had disappeared, and some new ones had appeared. However, the Great Xia dynasty 100,000 years ago had really surprised Lin Xian. Before Lin Xian, none of the monarch clans that he had seen had a great emperor. There were only extreme weapons and ancient scriptures of the great emperors. That was already an overlord that could sweep across the universe. Now that the Great Xia had a living great emperor, it was truly a great place to visit. After these ancient families and peerless sects came to the land of chaos, they became incomparably respectful. Even some of the monarch clans seemed to lower their heads when they came here. A living great emperor was really too terrifying in this era. It was enough to suppress everything. After all, this was different from the era when Lin Xian was in the deity land. In this era, there was only the emperor of the Great Xia dynasty. As for whether there were other great emperors, Lin Xian did not know. Perhaps they were in a deep slumber. Anyway, they did not appear. The 9th prince was the 9th son of the Great Xia dynasty. He was the youngest son and was deeply loved by the emperor. There were even rumors that the Great Xia dynasty would be handed over to the 9th prince in the future. Therefore, this time, All the clan of the ancients and the great sects sent their most beautiful young women to the palace of the gods. If any of them could catch the eye of the ninth prince, they would have a meteoric rise. Even the dragon clan had made such preparations. After all, although the current dragon clan was powerful and Long Xiaotian had unparalleled talent, no one had unknown abilities. No one knew if Long Xiaotian could really become the next martial monarch. Therefore, they had to make some plans. For example, the dragon clan had prepared many prides to stand out at the banquet. One of them was even Long Yu's younger sister. In the land of primal chaos, there was a majestic palace where the dragon race resided. One of them was a woman in a black dress. She was extremely beautiful, and her beautiful eyes contained a trace of coldness, as well as a trace of the dignity of a superior. The great saints of the dragon clan all lowered their heads before her. She was Long Xiaotian's Dao partner, Long Yu. She was also the dragon queen of Lin Xian's era. Beside her was a woman who looked very similar to Long Yu. However, she did not look cold and aloof. Instead, she looked lively and cute. She was dressed in green. Her name was Long Qing, and she was Long Yu's younger sister. Long Yu said, "Sister, when the ninth prince comes in a few days, you must interact with him well. If you can stay by his side, you will benefit greatly." The royal family of the Great Xia also has imperial dragon qi. After hearing this, Long Qing pursed her lips. "Sister, I don't even know who he is. I've never seen him before. Why should I stay by his side? Our dragon clan is pretty good. We are not worse than others. Moreover, brother-in-law's talent is unparalleled. After the Great Xia dynasty, it will definitely be our world." What he said was true, but the reality was not so. The emperor of the skyscraper dynasty had existed for 15,000 years. According to the ancient records, it was at most 20,000 years. There were still 5,000 years left. Do you think he won't have any tricks up his sleeve? Will he annihilate our dragon clan before the immortals leave? Hearing this, Long Qing's expression changed.
No way.
Long Yu shook her head. No one knows the emperor's tricks. But don't worry too much. Brother Tian has already started to deal with this danger, and it is said that he has found a way to resist the crisis. However, we still have to make several preparations. Long Qing nodded, but still said, "Let's wait and see. If I don't have feelings for him, I won't sacrifice myself for the family. Don't think too much about anything else. As long as you dress up beautifully on the day of the banquet, that will be enough." While the dragon clan was making preparations, the other clans were doing the same. They were all waiting for the day when the banquet officially began. On the eve of the banquet, on the third day, Lin Xian and the others came. They were from the Cloud Dragon clan. In the land of chaos, many people turned their heads to look. Someone said, "The Cloud Dragon clan is not qualified to come here, right?" Some people shook their heads. The Cloud Dragon clan alone is definitely not qualified. However, the other party is now one of Long Xiaotian's dragon clans. Therefore, he was definitely qualified to come. The dragon clan in Long Xiaotian's hands was getting stronger and stronger. Yes, the dragon clan in his hands was called the 10,000 Dragon Clan. It was said that he wanted to gather all the clans in the world and put all the dragon clan in the palm of his hand. When it came to Long Xiaotian, countless people were envious. Some of the older generation powerhouses also sighed. It was really a tragedy to be born in the same era as such a person. Long Xiaotian was very young. At the age of 2000, he could already reach such a level. It was really shocking. Even if he had a great emperor now, Long Xiaotian could live for a long time. Therefore, in the future, Long Xiaotian was very likely to become a new great emperor. And in the end, the dragon clan would be the master of the world. Hearing this, the people of the Great Xia dynasty were naturally dissatisfied. Some of the powerhouses and geniuses of the Great Xia dynasty stared at the Cloud Dragon clan with murderous intent and hostility in their eyes. The people of the Cloud Dragon clan felt their scalps go numb. The two great saints were also facing a great enemy. To be honest, they had now pledged allegiance to Lin Xian. If Long Xiaotian knew, they would definitely be expelled from the 10,000 Dragon Clan. At that time, they would suffer a disastrous decline. Lin Xian said, "Don't worry.
Follow me.
You won't be in any danger." Facing the hostile gazes around, Lin Xian was still not afraid. The people around were also surprised. Soon, they found Lin Xian and the others. They immediately exclaimed, "Who is this person? Why was he walking at the center of it all?" The people of the Cloud Dragon clan seemed to regard him as important. "Is he Long Xiaotian?" some people exclaimed. Some young geniuses were puzzled. Some people said, "No, Long Xiaotian. I've seen him with my own eyes. Although the two of them are about the same age, he's not Long Xiaotian. He's very unfamiliar. I've never seen him before."
Who is he?
A new genius of the Cloud Dragon clan? Countless voices of Tao and justice were heard. "You guys are really late. Aren't you afraid that Long Yu Fairy will be angry?" At this moment, a cold snort was heard. In the sky, there was endless thunder. The great saints of the Cloud Dragon clan were shocked. "It's the people of the Thunder Dragon clan. They're here to cause trouble." Chapter 5795. They were from the Thunder Dragon clan. The faces of the Cloud Dragon clan people turned ugly. The great saint quickly explained to Lin Xian. After hearing this, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. It turned out that the two sides didn't see eye to eye with each other and fought openly and secretly. At this moment, the Thunder Dragon clan seized such a late opportunity and would definitely not let it go. Lin Xian said with a smile, "Don't worry. Now that you have become my disciple, I will naturally protect you. I don't take the Thunder Dragon clan seriously. Let's go." With that, Lin Xian walked forward. The people of the Cloud Dragon clan followed closely. They didn't pay attention to him. The people of the Thunder Dragon clan were angry. "How dare you not greet Long Yu Fairy after coming here?" The Thunder Dragon clan people condensed the laws on their bodies and turned into lightning, blocking the way. "What is Long Yu Fairy? Let her come here to see us?" The Crimson Dragon sneered. The Toad also said, "How dare you block my way? Believe it or not, I will stew you." "How dare you? What kind of demon are you? How dare you be arrogant in front of us? You are just a little toad. Who gave you the courage?" The people of the Thunder Dragon clan were all angry. The Toad jumped out. "I will teach you how to be a man." He slapped out his claws and knocked the few people of the Thunder Dragon clan to the ground. Seeing the scene, the surrounding people exclaimed, "The Dragon clan is actually in conflict. Interesting."
How dare you?
The first elder of the Thunder Dragon clan walked over and said coldly, "Watch me suppress you personally." He raised his palm, and the terrifying thunder turned into a pagoda and suppressed the Toad. This was a terrifying saint weapon, right?
Countless people exclaimed.
It seemed that the Thunder Dragon clan was angry. A great saint with a super saint weapon. That Toad was dead for sure. Not only that, I think this group of people are all going to be unlucky. The Toad sneered, "You? This piece of trash dares to suppress me. Watch my divine Toad fist." With that, he clenched his claws into fists and punched out.
"Stupid thing."
The people from the Thunder Dragon tribe sneered. The first elder's expression was one of disdain. He waved his dragon claw and brought the lightning pagoda down. A heaven-shaking explosion rang out as endless lightning exploded. The lightning pagoda was actually shattered into pieces and scattered all over the ground. The first elder's entire body was pierced through. The Toad retracted its claws and sneered. It was pitifully weak and couldn't even withstand a single blow. What was going on? The spectators went crazy. Their eyes were wide open. The people of the Thunder Dragon tribe were looking around. "Where is the Great Elder?" That was the Great Elder's shard. He was dead. Someone shouted. "Impossible. The Grand Elder was a great sage. How could he possibly be killed with a single move? Furthermore, he had a super divine artifact." The people from the Thunder Dragon tribe went crazy. They stared at the Toad. What kind of monster was this? The Toad spat out venom, causing the people of the Dragon tribe to scream miserably. At this moment, the second elder walked over and roared, "Cloud Dragon tribe, How dare you collude with the demon race? Do you really want to be enemies with Long Yu Fairy? The people of the Cloud Dragon tribe were also dumbfounded. At this moment, they couldn't speak at all. Lin Xian walked out and said, Long Yu Fairy is just a... If she dares to come, I will suppress her with one hand.
How dare you?
Who are you? The people of the Thunder Dragon tribe stared at Lin Xian. I am their new master. You can call me the Dragon God. Lin Xian's voice came out, resounding in all directions. The people around went crazy. Dragon God? Isn't this kid a human? How dare he call himself the Dragon God? Is he here to slap the face of the Dragon tribe? Countless exclamations sounded, and the faces of the Thunder Dragon tribe were extremely ugly. Boy, don't run if you have guts. Just you wait. The second elder of the Thunder Dragon tribe hurriedly left to find Long Yu Fairy. At this moment, in the land of chaos, there was a magnificent palace. The second elder walked over and exclaimed, Long Yu Fairy, please save me. The second elder was stopped by the guards at the door. Inside, Long Yu Fairy was putting on makeup for Long Qing. Hearing this, she frowned. What's the matter? Let him wait outside. I'm busy. Now, the most important thing was to dress up her sister Long Qing. Long Yu didn't want to care about other things. Being rejected, the second elder was dumbfounded. He could only grit his teeth. There are still 2 days until the Chaos Wine Banquet. At that time, I will definitely see Long Yu Fairy. He had been waiting here and didn't leave. On the other side, the toad was impatient. He sneered and said, What Thunder Dragon tribe? Didn't they go to ask for help? Why didn't they come? I'm dying of laughter. The Crimson Dragon also sneered. I think Long Yu is afraid and doesn't dare to come out. I knew it. She wouldn't dare to fight against us. One voice after another came out, shocking the people of the clan of the Ancients and the Great Sections. Just who were these newcomers? How could they be so strong? Lin Xian spread his name everywhere. From now on, I am the Dragon God. The Dragon tribe will respect me.
Crazy.
The surrounding clans and sects were all crazy. Those who could participate in the Primal Chaos Wine Banquet were the best of the best in the universe. Their news was also the most up-to-date. They naturally knew that the current Dragon clan was led by Long Xiaotian. Now they had to respect this young man. Was this young man challenging Long Xiaotian? However, the other party looked very mysterious. He defeated the Thunder Dragon tribe as soon as he came. Even Long Yu and the others didn't dare to come out. For a time, no one dared to challenge him. The people of the Grand Xia dynasty also secretly spread the news that the Dragon tribe was done for. For a time, there was a lot of discussion. Finally, 2 days passed. On this day, the Chaos Wine Banquet would open. The surroundings were filled with multicolored light and chaos chi. Countless powerful people arrived. They rode on clouds and mist, riding on all kinds of saint weapons and demonic beasts. They were like celestial spirits. The people of the Grand Xia dynasty also came out. Prince Josie was wearing a dragon robe and had an imposing appearance. He had an unparalleled domineering aura. Beside him were the experts of the Grand Xia Empire. Like a myriad of stars surrounding the moon, they invited him to sit on the high throne. There were also many seats on both sides. They sat down according to their status. The closer they were to the Grand Xia dynasty, the more extraordinary their status was. Everyone took their seats. There was another place that was very close to Prince Josie. It was the sky reserved for the Dragon tribe. Countless dragon auras gathered, forming a dragon boat that soared into the sky. There were many people standing on the dragon boat. At the front was a beautiful woman in a black dress. Her black hair was like a waterfall, and her face was exquisite. There was a trace of coldness in her eyes, as if she didn't care about anything. This person was naturally Long Yu. Beside her was Long Qing, who was dressed in green. Her beautiful eyes were filled with endless spiritual qi. Behind her was a group of experts of the Dragon tribe. The laws on their bodies swept through the sky. This group of people came with a strong momentum, attracting the attention of countless people. It was the people of the Dragon tribe. Fairy Long Yu had come out. Countless exclamations sounded. Chapter 5796. The second elder of the Thunder Dragon tribe was also standing there. Before coming, he had already reported what had happened to Long Yu. After hearing this, Long Yu also frowned. Someone was courting death and dared to challenge them? He even dared to call himself the Dragon God.
Stupid thing.
At that time, she had said that the Dragon tribe only had one god, and that was Brother Tian. That kid dared to challenge the 10,000 Dragon tribe. He was challenging Brother Tian and challenging us. When we meet him later, we'll just slap him to death. To be honest, she didn't care at all. The second elder of the Thunder Dragon tribe was naturally happy. He stood on the dragon boat. At this moment, as he streaked across the sky, his eyes kept searching for Lin Xian. However, he couldn't find him. He wasn't worried. After all, that kid was attending the Chaos Wine Banquet. He would definitely find him. At that time, it would be the death of the other party. When the dragon boat arrived at the square, it didn't have any intention of landing, which shocked many people. The people of the great Xia dynasty furrowed their brows. Next to the 9th prince, an old man snorted. The 10,000 Dragon tribe is really arrogant. What do you mean? Do you not take our dynasty seriously? Another middle-aged man was also dissatisfied. Now was not the time for them to dominate the world. The 9th prince sat there with a smile on his face. He wasn't angry, although a trace of coldness flashed in his eyes. However, as the host of this banquet, he still had to be magnanimous. At this moment, he smiled and said, "So, it's a fellow Taoist from the Mirage Dragon tribe. Okay, Long Yu Fairy, please." He pointed to a seat on the side. Only then did Dragon Traveling Fairy lead the group of people from the dragon race to descend and proceed forward. Just as they were about to sit down, a voice sounded. "Wait." This voice was loud and shook the 9 heavens, causing countless people to turn their heads. Another group of people arrived on clouds in a grandiose manner. It was the people of the Cloud Dragon tribe. The people of the Dragon tribe frowned. The second elder of the Thunder Dragon tribe exclaimed, "It's that kid. It's that kid who called himself the Dragon God and killed our first elder." As soon as these words were said, the people of the 10,000 Dragon tribe were instantly angry. Long Yu also turned her head and stared at Lin Xian. She was shocked. What a young man! Moreover, when she stared at him, she felt a trace of uneasiness. Did he have some kind of power that made her afraid? That was impossible. Long Yu denied it in her heart. She shook her head slightly. No one could threaten her. It was absolutely impossible. What do you want? On the side of the Myriad Dragon tribe, an expert from the Dragon tribe walked out and shouted coldly. The flames on his body overflowed into the heavens, enough to burn the 9 heavens. The toad jumped out and said, "It's simple. You're not qualified to sit there.
Get lost."
The crowd was in an uproar. The people of the Grand Xia Empire were also discussing amongst themselves. The people of the 10,000 Dragons tribe were even more furious. Impudent. We don't have the qualifications. We are all powerful beings of the dragon race. How dare a little toad challenge us? The toad snorted coldly. How can you know how powerful I am? Although I'm not from the dragon clan, I have the dragon god by my side. That position can only be given to the dragon god throne. You guys are not qualified. The crimson dragon also sneered. Where is Long Yu? Tell her to get out here. She didn't dare to meet us 2 days ago, so we're here now. Come, 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 come. Then Huang will slap her to death. The people of the Myriad Dragon tribe went crazy. Fairy Long Yu's face also darkened. She didn't quite believe what the second elder of the Thunder Dragon tribe said before. She thought that the other party was exaggerating, but now it seemed that the other party was already very conservative. These people in front of her were really too arrogant. She sneered and said, "Reckless thing, how dare you call yourself the dragon god? Do you have the qualifications?" Long Yu snorted coldly, and the bloodline in her body erupted. Between heaven and earth, there were hundreds of dragons roaring. The endless aura pressed down on everyone, making their souls tremble. The people of the great sects and the ancient families were shocked. This Long Yu is incredible. As expected of the woman by Dragon Xiaotian's side, she was really too powerful. There was probably no one in the younger generation who could compete with her. Even the powerhouses of the older generation couldn't beat her. The people of the Grand Xia Empire also had solemn expressions. Although the dragon tribe was arrogant, it had to be said that the dragon tribe in this period had indeed produced many genius powerhouses. The people of the Cloud Dragon tribe felt their scalps go numb. They kept feeling that they were walking on the edge of a cliff. This time, if Lin Xian and the others couldn't resist, then they would be doomed eternally. They looked at Lin Xian. With a smile, he walked out and said, "I'm the dragon god. Are you not convinced?" "Of course not." Long Yu's eyes burst with cold, killing intent as she stared at Lin Xian. "You're not qualified." Lin Xian smiled. He stared at Long Yu, and there was also a strange light in his eyes. Then, he shook his head. "You're not my match. What about Dragon Xiaotian? Tell him to get over here and fight with me."
Just you?
"You want to challenge Brother Tian?" Long Yu was completely angry. She wouldn't allow anyone to challenge Dragon Xiaotian. She wanted to make a move, but the powerhouse of the Fire Dragon tribe next to her could walk out. He said, "Fairy Long Yu, why do you have to do it? I'll suppress this kid. He's a Fire Dragon tribe supreme saint." "Is he holding the spear of Fire Dragon?" Countless exclamations sounded. The Fire Dragon Supreme Saint was even more terrifying than the Thunder Dragon Tribe Supreme Saint. He was even much stronger. Now that he made a move and took out the spear of Fire Dragon, it seemed that he was going to kill Lin Xian. "Kid, you'll pay for your words and actions just now." The Fire Dragon Supreme Saint stabbed out with his spear. Between heaven and earth, a dragon roar sounded. A fire dragon phantom cut through the 9 heavens and charged toward Lin Xian. The people of the Cloud Dragon tribe were scared silly. Even if all of them gathered together, they wouldn't be able to resist such power. As for Lin Xian, he merely extended a hand and made a grabbing motion. This kid was crazy. How could he block a saint weapon with his bare hands? Was it the right of a supreme saint? The people of the 1,000 Dragon tribe sneered. The people of the Great Xia dynasty were also surprised. Could it be that this person really didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth?
Boom.
The spear of Fire Dragon, with violent power, stabbed into Lin Xian's palm. But Lin Xian's palm was unharmed. He even grabbed the spear of Rat Halos and broke it in half. Crack. The sound of metal breaking rang out. The incomparably powerful divine weapon, the spear of Fire Dragon, was broken in half. The Fire Dragon Supreme Saint was sent flying by this force and turned into a mist of blood. He didn't even have time to scream before he died. How could it be? The people from the Fire Dragon tribe opened their eyes wide, and their faces were filled with terror. Even Long Yu's pupils shrank. She knew the strength of the Fire Dragon Supreme Saint. In addition to the attack just now, no one among the Supreme Saints could easily block it. But now, the other party had broken the divine weapon and killed the Fire Dragon Supreme Saint. Could it be that this person's strength was above that of a Supreme Saint? Damn it! When did such a terrifying expert appear in the human tribe? In the next moment, she seemed to have thought of something and stared at the people of the Great Xia dynasty. She asked coldly, "Ninth Prince, what do you mean by this?" In her opinion, the other party should be from the Great Xia dynasty in order to suppress the Dragon tribe. After all, they were at the peak of their power. Although the Great Xia dynasty was the overlord, it was also decadent. Chapter 5797. Ninth Prince narrowed his eyes and said, "Fairy Long Yu, what do you mean?" Long Yu snorted and said, "Isn't he from the Great Xia dynasty?"
How dare you?
An elder stood up and said, "Are you doubting the Great Xia dynasty? The Great Xia dynasty rules the universe. How could we do such a despicable thing?" To be honest, the others also thought it was the Great Xia dynasty. But at this time, Lin Xian said, "Okay, if you can't beat me, just say it. Why are you looking for excuses? Let me tell you, I'm from the Dragon clan. I'm from the Dragon Manor. What's wrong with you? Today, I'll let you feel my Dragon Dao energy." Lin Xian roared to the sky, and the power of the dragon's sword spirit burst out. Countless dragon-shaped phantoms landed beside him, and the terrifying dragon Dao energy swept through the 9 heavens. At this moment, everyone's expression changed. The people of the Thousand Dragon Clan went crazy. It really was the Dragon Clan's energy. Damn it, was this kid from the Dragon Clan?
How could this be?
There was already Long Xiaotian. How could there be a second dragon god? The people of the Great Xia dynasty were also shocked. Some elders frowned tightly. The luck of the Dragon Clan was too good. First, there was Long Xiaotian, and now there was another peerless master. Could the rise of the Dragon Clan be unstoppable? Ninth Prince opened his fan and waved it gently. Rise? Not necessarily. Can't you see that the two sides are like fire and water? Perhaps the two dragons would fight and perish together. Let's just sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. As he laughed, he picked up the wine glass and drank it in one gulp. He said, "It seems that this young master is also from the Dragon Clan. Since it's a matter of the Dragon Clan, I won't interfere. How about this? The winner can sit in this position." The experts of the remote antiquity families around changed their expressions at the sight of Yi Futian. Didn't that mean that one of the two people in front was going to be slapped in the face? Long Yu represented Long Xiaotian, and now she represented the Dragon Clan. The young man who had become the dragon god was even more powerful, and his background must be shocking. Neither side was easy to provoke. Hearing this, the Crimson Dragon smiled. Long Yu, did you hear that? Hurry up and scram. You don't have the right to be here. As he spoke, he was about to take over the position. Damn it. Long Yu roared. 10,000 dragons, listen up.
Kill them all.
Lin Xian, however, snorted coldly. He stretched out a large hand, and his 5 fingers transformed into 5 huge dragons that grabbed down. A gigantic hand that blotted out the sky covered the entire place, shrouding the entire 10,000 dragons tribe. How could those people from the 10,000 dragons tribe possibly withstand it? Lin Xian was the 7-time champion. Immediately, they all prostrated themselves on the ground, their faces filled with fear. The second elder of the Lightning Dragon tribe was even crazier. He was really lucky to be alive previously. Impossible.
Who are you?
How could you be so strong? The people of the Wind Dragon clan roared. The water dragons also went crazy.
Why?
Facing him made him feel like he was facing Dragon Xiaotian. The others were also shocked, and their hair stood on end. It seemed that no one could resist this palm, right? The 9th prince originally wanted to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight, but after seeing Lin Xian make a move, he suddenly stood up. His eyes emitted an extremely terrifying nomological law. How could the other party be so strong? He was really too shocked. As the emperor, he actually felt a huge threat. This person was too strong. Where did he come from? Why had he never noticed before? He suppressed those 10,000 dragons with one palm. Lin Xian smiled and said, "Do you think I'm qualified to be called the dragon god?"
What?
Long Yu roared, "I'm not convinced." Dragon blood erupted from her body, and a terrifying aura swept out. At the same time, a water dragon sword appeared in her hand, and she slashed at the huge hand that blotted out the sky. It had to be said that Long Yu was indeed extraordinary. As the second genius of the dragon tribe, her talent was second only to Dragon Xiaotian. Moreover, she had been by Dragon Xiaotian's side all year round. Whether it was combat experience or martial arts, they were all extremely strong. More importantly, the current Long Yu was already a quasi-emperor. Actually, thinking about it, this was normal. How could anyone by Dragon Xiaotian's side be weak? Furthermore, Long Yu was the future Dragon Empress. That was also an existence that swept across the universe and stood at the peak of the universe. At this moment, only Lin Xian could suppress her. After being suppressed by Lin Xian, Long Yu erupted with a biting cold, killing intent. The water dragon sword in her hand flew out, seeming like it could destroy the world. The moment this sword appeared, the surrounding great sages felt their hairs stand on end, exclaiming in shock. It looked like Fairy Longyu had already broken through Great Sage and entered Quasi-Emperor. He wondered if the person known as the Dragon God would be able to withstand it. This sword shocked the sky, illuminating the great desolate Aeon. The 10,000 dragons people felt hope. Perhaps Fairy Longyu could change the situation. This sword tore through the 9 heavens, stabbing towards Lin Xian's forehead. However, just as it was about to succeed, it was blocked by 2 fingers. Lin Xian used his palm to catch the sword. How is this possible? Longyu was dumbfounded. He dared to block her ultimate sword technique with his bare hands. How strong was he? Could it be that he had really surpassed her? Impossible. She shouted angrily, wanting to attack again. However, Lin Xian slapped her with his palm. With a smack, he hit Longyu's face. Longyu flew back, smashing through the void in the distance. There was a clear palm print on her face. You dare to hit me? Longyu trembled in anger. All along, she had been high and mighty. No one dared to challenge her. No one had ever hit her. Even Big Brother Tian had never hit her. She couldn't take it anymore and let out a shrill cry. Dragon scales appeared on her body, and she turned into a huge dragon that charged over. That was a black dragon, and it carried with it countless black storms. There was also terrifying seawater that was sucking in everything. After turning into her true form, Longyu's combat strength also increased exponentially. She roared angrily, "I want you to die. Do you think I don't dare to kill a dragon?" A cold killing intent flashed in Lin Xian's eyes as well as he struck out with his hand. The resplendent hand seemed to turn into the hand of a fire god. With a slap, the black seawater evaporated. This hand grabbed Longyu's head and pressed down. Longyu smashed through the void, dizzy from the impact. In the next instant, another hand slapped her body. Countless dragon scales were slapped off, and blood dyed the sky red. Longyu was suppressed in 2 moves. She let out a shrill cry. Killing intent appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. His hands shook as he was about to tear her body apart.
No.
Seeing this, Long Qing cried out in shock. The people of the 10,000 Dragon Clan went crazy. If Longyu died, they didn't dare to imagine the consequences. Would their top genius, Long Xiaotian, overturn the world?
Boom.
However, before they could finish thinking, Lin Xian tore Longyu's body apart. At this moment, it seemed to turn into eternity. The people of the clan of the ancients were scared silly. Even the people of the great Xia dynasty were stunned. No way, this kid is really going to kill him. This was too crazy. Chapter 5798. This scene shocked countless people. Had Longyu been killed? It was too unbelievable. Lin Xian, on the other hand, frowned. He coldly snorted and looked into the distance, but did not attack again. Just now, he had indeed torn apart the black dragon's body. However, he felt that Longyu was not dead. As expected, the broken dragon's body turned into nomological laws and dissipated. In another void, Longyu walked out. She had returned to her human form, and her face was extremely pale. Furthermore, there were many talisman symbols on her wrist that had been split in half. She was not dead? The surrounding people exclaimed in surprise. Ninth Prince was also surprised. Could this be the legendary immortal talisman? I didn't expect you to have it. What a great opportunity. As he spoke, there was a hint of envy in his voice. The immortal talisman was a very magical rune. Legend had it that after obtaining it, it could replace one's own death. It could be said that one had an extra life. Longyu looked at the broken immortal talisman, and her face turned ugly. This was given to her by Long Xiaotian. She only had it in her hand. To be honest, she really did not expect him to be able to kill her in an instant. In a moment of crisis, she could only take out this thing to save her life. Seeing that it had shattered, Longyu's expression became incomparably ugly. Was such a precious thing going to be wasted just like that? Unforgivable. She stared at Lin Xian. Brat, I will make you pay the price. Lin Xian sneered. You have quite a lot of trump cards. However, how many of these immortal talismans do you have? As he spoke, he slashed out again. The biting cold sword chi was broken in half. The surrounding people went crazy. You still want to attack? How dare you? If the Dragon King comes, he will definitely not let you go. That's right. Roaring Sky Dragon King will definitely kill you. The people of the 10,000 Dragon tribe roared crazily. The Dragon King they were talking about was Long Xiaotian. At this moment, Long Xiaotian was not a great emperor and was not qualified to become an emperor, so he was called the Dragon King. So, what if Long Xiaotian came? Lin Xian sneered. This was 100,000 years ago, before Long Xiaotian became a great emperor. He was not afraid. Although he knew that karma could not be reversed, Lin Xian still wanted to see if he could kill Long Yu. Facing Lin Xian's attack, Long Yu did not dare to be careless. She knew that this person's strength surpassed hers and should be comparable to Long Xiaotian. She could not believe it, but the truth was right in front of her eyes. She could only use her trump card. She took out a war chariot and quickly activated it. The war chariot turned into a beam of light and disappeared. It contained an extremely strong spatial energy. This was a space station car. Countless people were in an uproar. This dragon-traveling fairy really had a lot of treasures on her. First, it was the Undying Talisman that replaced death once, and now it was the Space War Chariot. The person next to the 9th prince also said, as expected of Dragon Xiaotian's people. It was possible that these things were given to her by Dragon Xiaotian. Dragon Xiaotian had great luck. Lin Xian was also surprised. Space Chariot? Amazing. I didn't expect you to have this as well. I want to see how many trump cards you have. Lin Xian used his Rinnegan, covering the sky and earth. The next moment he said, I found you. He punched out. The Space War Chariot kept shuttling back and forth, but it was locked down by Lin Xian. Not good. This time, Long Yu was completely stunned. She found that the other party could actually lock down the war chariot. Damn it. What kind of eyes were those? Why did they make her hair stand on end? At this critical moment, she was about to be enveloped by this punch. She could only take out a shield and block in front of her. The shield was made of white bone. From afar, it looked like the claw of a dragon, a white bone dragon claw. It was used as a shield to block in front of her. The next moment, she was sent flying and spat out blood. However, the shield did not break. Lin Xian was surprised. As expected, she still had a trump card. As expected of the person who could become the Dragon Queen in the future. She really had a lot of trump cards in her hand. Kid, let me try. The Crimson Dragon was also eager to try. Lin Xian retracted his hand and said, Okay, you go, but be careful of her trump card. Don't worry. The Crimson Dragon roared and flew over like a dragon shadow. A venomous snake dares to be arrogant in front of me? Long Yu was completely enraged. She slashed at the Crimson Dragon. In the end, the Crimson Dragon spat out flames that covered the sky and enveloped Long Yu. Long Yu's face darkened. Some parts of her clothes were charred black.
Ah!
She let out a shrill cry. You're a dragon too.
She was really shocked.
The others were also shocked. Lin Xian's powerful Dragon Dao aura swept out in all directions. However, he did not expect that the snake-like thing beside him was also a dragon. And it could even fight against Long Yu. Heavens! When did the Dragon Clan have so many powerful experts? How come they did not know? They had not even heard of it. Where did these people come from? The Crimson Dragon also snickered. Today is a chance. Let's see how Ben Huang will beat you up. As he spoke, he used all sorts of methods and turned into a 100-foot-long dragon. Long Yu turned into a black dragon, once again. The two enormous creatures fought fiercely between the heavens and earth, resulting in a shocking scene. The violent energy caused the entire sky to shatter. Countless people retreated. Looking at this scene, they were dumbfounded. The people of the Great Xia dynasty also had strange expressions. The appearance of two experts from the Dragon Clan shocked them. But this scene also made them want to laugh. The Dragon Clan was actually fighting each other? Could they be the third party to benefit from this? I'm coming too. The toad also jumped over. Have a taste of my divine toad fist. I'll spit all over your face. The toad used all sorts of tricks one after another. Longyu was so angry that she vomited blood. She was high and mighty. When had she ever been ambushed like this? This toad was really too sinister. Although the Crimson Dragon and the toad's strength were not as good as Lin Xian's, the two of them still suppressed Longyu when working together. If Longyu did not have the space chariot and the dragon claw shield, she would probably be in danger. In one day, she was suppressed by 3 people one after another. As a proud daughter of the heavens, how could Longyu endure it? Damn it, I don't believe it. You all have to die. Longyu let out a shrill cry. A pillar of light pierced through the sky from her body. On it, there was a billowing blood aura. It turned into a blood-red pagoda that charged towards the toad and the Crimson Dragon. At the same time, Longyu's cold voice rang out. This is the treasure that Brother Tian and I brought back from hell. Let's see how you block it. The Crimson Dragon created a series of arrays, but they were all shattered by this blood-red pagoda. They were also shocked. Damn it, this woman's luck was too good. That Long Xiaotian was really a person of great fortune. Lin Xian yelled, "Come back." He used one hand to protect the two of them. His other sword flew out. This sword seemed to turn into a bone dragon, bearing its fangs and claws. This was a heaven-defying sword technique. It sent the blood-red pagoda flying. At the same time, Lin Xian stretched out his golden hand, the 9 Suns' divine palm. He caught the blood-red pagoda flying towards him. He roared, "Suppress it!" The pagoda shook violently. The blood aura on it spread, wanting to envelop it. However, Lin Xian's 9 Suns' divine fire was extremely strong. The blood evaporated before it could get close. "Suppress!" Lin Xian shouted angrily and punched the surface. At the same time, he used the Taiji diagram to cover it. The blood-red pagoda shook violently. However, it was still sealed and fell to the ground. The dark red divine dragon directly grabbed it and said with a smile, "Good stuff. This king will accept it without hesitation." Longyu was so angry that she wanted to vomit blood. She did have a great opportunity. To be precise, it was Long Xiaotian who had a great opportunity. She had followed Long Xiaotian to the 9 heavens, the 9 underworlds, and the underworld. They had been to the firmament and all kinds of death places. They had been to all the realms in the universe. Long Xiaotian had obtained endless treasures. As Long Xiaotian's woman, she naturally had a lot of trump cards. But now, she found that her trump cards were not as good as the other parties. This young man in front of her was actually so powerful. Could it be that the other party was also a lucky person? However, there could only be one in an era. There was already Long Xiaotian. Why would the other party appear? She really couldn't understand. Chapter 5799. Longyu knew that she had lost today. She was no match for the other party. She had to leave quickly. Longyu waved her hand and prepared to leave with the 10,000 Dragon Clan. The others exclaimed, "Are we leaving just like that?" The 10,000 Dragon Clan was unwilling. However, even Longyu had been defeated. How could the others possibly be able to contend against him? Long Qing stared at Lin Xian, her beautiful eyes flashing. What a domineering man. "Do you want to leave?" The Crimson Dragon roared and waved his dragon claws. The array covered the sky and the earth. The mountain range suddenly expanded, turning into a pillar that pierced through the sky. The sky was instantly pierced through like paper. This was a sealing array. Oh no, this world seemed to be sealed. The expressions of the 10,000 Dragon Clan changed. They didn't expect the other party's array to be so powerful. Longyu snorted coldly. She enlarged the space chariot under her feet and let the 10,000 Dragon Clan members stand on it. At the same time, she roared and put all her strength into the space chariot. Endless laws poured into the space chariot. Then, it turned into a shadow and disappeared. Did she leave? The Crimson Dragon was surprised. What a magical chariot. It could actually break his array. Lin Xian also frowned. He used his Rinnegan and found that the other party had disappeared. He snorted coldly, looked around, and said, "If anyone knows Long Xiaotian, tell him that the dragon clan only has one god, and that is me." Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This man was really too strong. After Lin Xian finished speaking, he turned and led the others to the seats in front. He looked at Ninth Prince and smiled. "Can I sit here?" "Of course." Ninth Prince smiled and began to chat with Lin Xian, wanting to investigate Lin Xian's situation. However, after a few words, Ninth Prince found nothing. He only knew that the other party called himself the Dragon God. Where did he come from? What was his identity? He didn't know anything. Next was the Chaos Wine Banquet. This banquet was really good. He could drink chaos wine. After Lin Xian tasted it, his eyes lit up. This wine was not bad. He had to get more and prepare to bring it back to Lord Jiujiu. He asked the Ninth Prince, but the elders beside him said, "There's not much chaos wine." Organizing this banquet was something that had been accumulated over many years. After this banquet, it would be very difficult for ordinary people to drink the chaos wine again. After Lin Xian heard this, he nodded slightly, but he did not believe it. He secretly sent a sound transmission to Little White, asking him to get some. Xiao Bai held a wine jug and drank from it as well. Her eyes were shining. When he heard Lin Xian's words, he was so happy that he danced with joy. He hid in Lin Xian's sleeve, took out the treasure bowl, and began to search for treasures. Not long after, there were 2 pots of chaos wine in the treasure basin, followed by a few more pots. Following that, Lin Xian obtained over 100 pots. Xiao Bai's big eyes narrowed into crescents. Lin Xian waved his sleeve and quickly put away the chaos wine. Then, he drank as if nothing had happened. At this moment, a few elders of the great Xia dynasty rushed over. They were flustered and exasperated. "Your Highness, this is bad. What's going on?" the Ninth Prince asked. The elders hurriedly told him what had happened. "Someone is stealing our chaos wine." The people of the great Xia dynasty were furious. The Ninth Prince's gaze was like a lamp as he looked around. The people of the remote antiquity families felt their scalps go numb. They all said, "It's not us." The Ninth Prince searched, but could not find anything. He could only say, "Investigate secretly." Lin Xian was participating in the Chaos Wine Banquet. On the other side, the people of the Myriad Dragon Tribe had escaped from the void. Damn it! After Long Yu came out, he roared crazily, shattering the surrounding sky. The people of the Myriad Dragon Tribe also had ugly expressions. One of them said, "Damn it! Where did that kid come from? Why didn't we know before? He's too arrogant. We must take revenge. But we can't beat him at all." "Who said so?" "The Roaring Sky Dragon King can definitely defeat him." "Yes, that's right. Fairy Longyu, go and ask the Roaring Sky Dragon King for help." Fairy Longyu took a deep breath and calmed down. She said, "Brother Tian has something important to do now. So, we can't trouble him now. But don't worry, I'll make that kid pay the price." "Does he think that without Brother Tian, I can't do anything to him?" At this point, she took out a few voice transmission talismans and started to send messages. Not long after, the surrounding void darkened. A huge figure appeared, bringing with it the power of a boundary emperor. It pierced through the sky and earth. The people of the Myriad Dragon Tribe were scared out of their wits. A boundary emperor had appeared, and it was an expert of the Dragon Tribe.
"Great,"
they exclaimed. "It's the expert that Fairy Longyu invited." From the dark clouds in the sky, an elder in a white robe walked out. A pair of dragon horns bloomed with a mysterious glow. When he arrived, he bowed. "Greetings, Fairy Longyu. Senior, you're too polite. May I know why Fairy Longyu is looking for me?" Water Dragon asked. Fairy Longyu said, "There's no rush. Let's wait a little longer." Not long after, a beam of light flashed. It was like a peerless divine sword, splitting the sky and earth. Everyone felt their hair stand on end. In the next moment, a stalwart man appeared. He was covered in sword light. It was Senior Sword Dragon. Countless people bowed to him. Next, another senior of the dragon tribe came. This senior of the dragon tribe had an extremely strong flame. It was the fire dragon. The three seniors of the dragon tribe were all boundary emperors. Their strength was terrifying. All three of them were invited by Fairy Longyu. She said, "Three seniors, someone doesn't know what's good for him." He challenged the Myriad Dragon tribe and challenged Brother Tian's position. He called himself the Dragon God. "I think you three seniors should know what to do."
What?
"There's such a thing." After hearing this, the three boundary emperors of the dragon tribe frowned. They asked about it carefully and then said, "How dare you?"
What?
"Dragon God? How dare he call himself a god?" "That's right, we only recognize the Dragon King." Naturally, they were very clear about Long Xiaoyan's talent and future. Hence, they wanted to rely on him. In the future, when Long Xiaotian became a martial emperor, they would follow him and soar. Now that someone challenged Long Xiaotian, they naturally would not allow it. "Fairy Longyu, don't worry. The three of us will attack together and kill that brat. Thank you for your trouble. He still has two companions with extraordinary strength. However, I will use the Space War Chariot to separate them. We'll kill that brat called the Dragon God first. The other two are nothing to fear." Fairy Longyu took out the Space War Chariot again and started to lay out spatial energy. After everything was ready, they hid. Now, they just had to wait silently until the Primal Chaos Wine Festival ended. The Primal Chaos Wine Festival lasted for half a month before it ended. Everyone was reluctant to leave. After all, being able to drink the Primal Chaos wine was a great opportunity for them. They felt like there was an additional mysterious primal chaos energy in their bodies. Whether they could absorb this energy would depend on their own strength. "Let's go as well." On Lin Xian's side, he was in a very good mood. After slapping Longyu in the face and drinking the Primal Chaos wine, he even secretly obtained more than 100 jugs of Primal Chaos wine. Now, they had to continue with their proper business, which was to search for Long Xiaotian. If they found him, they should be able to find the half-frog. Chapter 5800. Lin Xian and the others walked out of the Chaos Wine Banquet. At this moment, outside the Chaos Wine Banquet, however, there was an extremely terrifying spatial power. In an instant, it enveloped Lin Xian and the others. In the next moment, Lin Xian and the others disappeared. When the people of the Cloud Dragon tribe saw this scene, their expressions changed drastically. "Oh no, this is the power of the Space War Chariot." The other families also exclaimed, "It seems that the Thousand Dragon tribe is going to take revenge." Someone sneered, "I knew that the Thousand Dragon tribe would never let this go." Fairy Yulong was high and mighty. How could she let this matter go after being slapped in the face like that? It seemed that they were going to take revenge. The people of the Cloud Dragon tribe were full of despair. If everyone died, then the next to die would be them. "Let's go and find where they are fighting." The surrounding families of the ancients were extremely excited. The battle between the Dragon tribe was definitely extremely exciting. "Ninth Prince, should we make a move?" Someone from the Great Xia dynasty also asked. Ninth Prince waved his folding fan and looked through the sky. He said, "No, let's just wait and see." "Damn it, it's a spatial array." The Crimson Dragon roared angrily, wanting to break the array and leave. However, the surrounding void was extremely strange. The Space War Chariot was a very terrifying weapon. It came from the Primordial Age. It was left behind by a certain powerhouse in the Primordial Age. Therefore, it was not that easy to break it. On the other side, Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. "Oh, are they here to take revenge? They really don't know what death is. Let's see who it is." He allowed the power of the space to envelop him. In the next instant, he arrived in a void surrounded by vast mountains. At this moment, he was already far away from the wine banquet. In front of him, there were a few terrifying figures that were quickly descending. They were experts of the dragon tribe. Lin Xian sensed for a moment and nodded. They were definitely not great sages but quasi-emperors. 3 quasi-emperors were charging towards him. It seemed that this era was extraordinary. There were actually so many quasi-emperors. An 8-crown king and 2 7-crown kings. As expected of the dragon tribe.
Boom.
The terrifying sword light illuminated the world, as if the sword god had descended. At the same time, dark clouds covered the city, and terrifying flames lit up the sky. The 3 figures stood in 3 different directions, surrounding Lin Xian. Wherever he passed, the surrounding void would shatter continuously. A black hole would appear beneath Lin Xian's feet. After the 3 dragon race quasi-emperors came out, they released a terrifying aura, trying to use their strength to make Lin Xian kneel. However, they were destined to be disappointed. Lin Xian stood there with his hands behind his back, suppressing heaven and earth. The surrounding black holes had all disappeared. The place where he was at was incomparably quiet. Kid, you have some skills. You are actually so calm even when the 3 of us are working together. No wonder you dare to challenge the Dragon King. An aged voice rang out, carrying with it the terrifying might of a quasi-emperor. In the next instant, the dark clouds disappeared, and an old man in a white robe stood there. He had an extremely terrifying law of water on him. He was the water dragon quasi-emperor and was extremely powerful. He could control all the water in the world. On the other side was a mighty man. The aura of the dragon Dao spread out from this man's body. There were scales on his back that formed sharp swords that pierced the clouds. A shocking murderous aura spread out from him. The last person was surrounded by flames and had a fire dragon tail. He was like a fire god, extremely powerful. He said coldly, "So, what if he is heavy? Before the 3 of us, he is still an ant." The fire dragon quasi-emperor had a bad temper. When he opened his eyes, heavenly fire spread out. He threw a palm strike, and flames filled the sky as if they were going to cover the sky, making people tremble. "Great, I've stopped that kid." On the other side, in a valley, the 10,000 dragon race people were watching. There was a mirror in front of them, and on the surface of the mirror was the scene around Lin Xian. When they saw that Lin Xian was stopped by the 3 quasi-emperors, they all jumped up in excitement. "Let's see how this kid dies." Long Yu also snorted coldly. No matter how strong the other party is, can he beat the 3 quasi-emperors working together? The answer was that it was impossible. Lin Xian looked at the 3 and shook his head slightly. "Are there only the 3 of you? Too few. The 3 of you are no match for me at all. If there were 30 of you, I might be able to fight. If there are only the 3 of you, I'm afraid you will go to hell today." A cold voice rang out, causing the expressions of the 3 quasi-emperors to change. "This is too arrogant." Was the other party looking down on them? "I want to see how arrogant you, a self-proclaimed dragon god, can be." The fire dragon quasi-emperor shouted coldly and threw out a punch. Hundreds of fire dragons roared between heaven and earth. They were all tens of thousands of meters long and covered the sky. Lin Xian also clenched his fist. The 9 Suns' divine fist carried the power of the 9 Suns' divine fire. It swept across heaven and earth and charged toward the other party. He actually chose to take it head-on. Was this kid so confident in his flames and physique? The quasi-emperors were also surprised. Soon, they realized that something was wrong. This kid's physique was actually so strong. This punch seemed to be formed by the 9 heavens' divine fire. Everywhere it passed, the void shattered. The fire dragon quasi-emperor felt the suppression of the flames. The quasi-emperor's expression changed. This punch was too shocking. It was like a rainbow that could shatter everything.
Boom.
In the next instant, the 2 fists collided. Boundless fiery light swept through the 9 heavens. When the 10,000 dragon race people saw this scene, they all felt guilty. Do you think the fire dragon can block it? Of course. How could a bona fide quasi-emperor fail to block the other party's fist? Just watch. That brat might be killed in a single strike. Many people clenched their teeth in anger. The flames in the 9 heavens slowly disappeared. Lin Xian stood there with his hands behind his back, uninjured. On the other side, one of the fire dragon quasi-emperor's arms was missing. His face paled. In the earlier clash, he was at a disadvantage. Gritting his teeth, the quasi-emperor said, "This kid is too strong." Everyone attacked together. The expressions of the other two quasi-emperors changed as well. The fire dragon quasi-emperor was arrogant and unruly.
Even he said that.
Could it be that this person was really that strong? Since that was the case, then let's attack together. The sword dragon quasi-emperor shouted coldly. Boundless sword chi surrounded the sword dragon quasi-emperor's body like a vast sea sweeping out for thousands of kilometers, tearing the world apart. Chop! The sword dragon quasi-emperor roared, and boundless sword chi surged out, surging for thousands of kilometers as it charged towards Lin Xian. On the other side, the water dragon quasi-emperor also sent out a vast sea, filling the sky with rain. Each drop of rain contained a powerful law that could kill the other party. The fire dragon quasi-emperor also attacked, sending out the 8 desolate flame dragon picture. At this moment, the 3 quasi-emperors completely erupted. Everyone within thousands of kilometers looked up at the sky. At the Primal Chaos Wine Festival, the people of the ancient noble clans were still searching. However, when they saw the scene, they finally confirmed that Xiao Qin was there. They all charged over. The people of the Skyscraper Dynasty also prepared to watch the battle. That was the aura of the dragon race. 3 dragon race holy emperors against that brat. It's over. That dragon god is dead for sure. No matter how strong he is just one person. The 10,000 dragon race has the Dragon King, so their accumulations are extremely deep. How can you block them? Chapter 58:01. Looking at the scene in front of them, everyone sighed. They knew that Lin Xian was dead for sure. However, Lin Xian was unmoved. He stood there, and as his eyes opened and closed, the power of reincarnation erupted. At the same time, he took out a sword, the immortal slaying sword, which was rumored to have killed immortals. Sword chi flew, a heaven-defying sword technique. The sword illuminated the 9 heavens, and the terrifying sword chi formed terrifying cracks that spread out in all directions. The rain that filled the sky was completely destroyed by this force. Under this sword, the nomological mystical abilities of the 3 quasi-emperors all shook. Then, cracks appeared.
Boom.
The 3 mystical abilities shattered, and the 3 quasi-emperors were sent flying, vomiting large mouthfuls of blood. At the critical moment, they took out their weapons, the 3 quasi-emperor weapons. These were weapons that they had carefully refined, and their power had already surpassed that of a sage weapon. With the quasi-emperor weapons, their strength would increase exponentially. Quasi-emperor Jianlong took out a sword. The true dragon sword was completely made of dragon scales. He had searched for the dragon scales of countless ancient dragon race experts and forged it. At this moment, the quasi-emperor weapon erupted with a vast dragon might and slashed forward. True dragon slash. A peerless sword technique. How terrifying. The clan of the ancients that had rushed over were shocked. It's over. However, the people of the dragon race laughed. Good. This sword will kill him. Lin Xian shook his head. Sword techniques are not used like this. Let me tell you what a true peerless sword technique is. Lin Xian waved the immortal slaying sword again, and sword light overflowed, completely destroying the world. His opponent's swordsmanship had transformed into a real dragon, while Lin Xian's swordsmanship had transformed into a divine dragon. The heaven-defying sword technique used the same attack as the opponent to destroy the opponent. As soon as this divine dragon appeared, it cut through the sky and covered the world, colliding with the true dragon. The 2 dragons roared, and the true dragon let out a wail as it was torn in half by a claw.
No.
Quasi-Emperor Jianlong screamed. His true dragon sword was split in half. Not only that, but he was also split in half, and his body and soul were destroyed. Was he dead? Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. A quasi-emperor had died. How is this possible? The people from the dragon race roared crazily. The strength of the sword dragon quasi-emperor was so terrifying that it surpassed the heavens and earth. How could he have been killed so easily? Fairy Longyu clenched her fists tightly. She could not believe it either. Sword dragon, the fire dragon and the water dragon, the two quasi-emperors, roared crazily. Their expressions turned incomparably unsightly. All of them unleashed their strongest attacks. They all used their respective ultimate skills. What Huolong took out was a diagram, the real Huolong diagram. It was something that he had nurtured in his body for several thousand years. It was something that he had refined using the meridians of generations of fire dragons. It was also a quasi-emperor weapon. As for the water dragon, it took out a cloud, which contained the terrifying water of a dragon. The two of them used their ultimate moves, not giving each other any chance. Lin Xian, on the other hand, swung his sword twice in a row. It was indestructible. The two quasi-emperor weapons shattered. The two quasi-emperors were also destroyed in their hearts and souls. After 3 sword strikes, the 3 quasi-emperors of the dragon race fell. 3 cracks appeared in the world. Blood rained down, and the world mourned. The 10,000 dragon race people were so frightened that they knelt on the ground. They had gone crazy. Longyu also trembled. How could Lin Xian be so powerful? Just what level had the other party's strength reached? Was he really the dragon god? When the ancient noble clans at the Primal Chaos Wine Festival saw this, they also felt their scalps go numb. The people of the Great Xia dynasty had originally been prepared to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. However, from the looks of it now, this was a complete suppression. This dragon god was probably an even greater threat to them than Long Xiaotian. Was the other party going to rise up in the world? This was not the end. It was just the beginning. After Lin Xian killed the 3 quasi-emperors, he collected all their storage rings. Then, he executed the Rinnegan, and a godlike eye covered the world. At the same time, he threw 2 heaven-defying punches, sweeping out for 5,000 kilometers. Like a godlike punch, it shattered the void in the distance. The toad and the crimson dragon came out and jumped over. Lin Xian executed the Rinnegan again and locked onto the position of the 10,000 dragon race. He stretched out a huge hand that covered the sky and grabbed toward the distance. That hand turned into 5 divine dragons, roaring at the sky. There were invisible laws on them: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. They turned into 5 elemental dragons, enveloping the entire valley. The mountains and forests around the valley were shattered. The void above the valley was filled with cracks. In the valley, the dragon race cultivators felt their scalps go numb. Their faces were filled with horror. If this palm landed, probably not many of them would be able to escape, right? Fairy Longyu. They all looked at Longyu. Longyu's expression also turned ugly. The 3 quasi-emperors had been killed. She could not resist at all. Now, she could only take the space war chariot and escape. However, the space war chariot's spatial array that she had used earlier was now slightly weaker. She could not take so many people with her. In the end, she gritted her teeth and took her sister into the space war chariot, disappearing.
No.
The other members of the 10,000 dragon race were in despair. Did Fairy Longyu not care about them? Then how could they resist? Please stop, we are willing to submit. An old man of the 10,000 dragon race knelt on the ground and kept roaring. The others also shouted, yes, we are willing to submit. They did not want to be killed. Lin Xian's hand paused in midair. He looked down at Lin Xian like a god. Oh, so you've submitted? That's right, we are willing to submit. In the valley, everyone knelt. Lin Xian laughed. Well, from now on, you will respect me, the dragon god. Now, I will give you a chance. Gather your clan's resources and dragon veins for me.
Don't try to escape.
Under my eye technique, none of you can escape. We know, the people below hurriedly said. In order to save their lives, they were willing to give up everything. Lin Xian's 5 elements palm disappeared. The people of the 10,000 dragon race heaved a sigh of relief. They hurried back and moved the dragon veins of their clan over. Lin Xian's lips curled up. He would collect these dragon veins and preserve them for 100,000 years. After 100,000 years, how terrifying would his power be? The battle ended like this. The dragon race returned in defeat, Long Yu fled in panic, and the 3 quasi-emperors were killed. The news quickly spread in all directions. For a time, the people of the true spirit world were shocked. Even the heavens were in an uproar because of this. They exclaimed, "Was there an incredible genius of the dragon race in the Middle Continent? He actually called himself the Dragon God. Heavens, did he not put Long Xiaotian in his eyes?" Fairy Long Yu returned in defeat. What would the great Xia Empire do? One after another, exclamations of surprise and doubt were heard. Many people were excited. Now, Long Xiaotian was like the sun in the sky, and basically no one was his opponent. Now, was there finally someone who was going to challenge Long Xiaotian? That would be a battle of dragons. The people of the great Xia Empire were also shocked, as if they were facing a great enemy. The 9th prince's face was extremely solemn. He hurried back to the empire. He had to report this matter personally. Chapter 58:02. Zhongzhou. This was the land of the great Xia dynasty. Everything under the emperor's rule had submitted to him. The fairy palace was where Emperor Xia resided. Only he had the right to be here. If anyone else wanted to come, they would have to report to him. If he didn't agree, no one could enter. Right now, outside the flying immortal palace, the 9th prince was kneeling and respectfully greeting his father. "Father, I have something to report," Prince Jiu said quickly. A loud voice came from the fairy palace. "Jiu'er, you can leave now. I know what happened. I will go there personally." Prince Jiu was shocked. A young man was worthy of his father's personal visit.
He is not ordinary.
I have tried to divine him before, but I couldn't. His heavenly secrets are very mysterious. So, I want to meet him personally. After Emperor Xia finished speaking, he left. His royal aura spread for 30,000 miles, carrying him like a god on a journey. At this moment, countless creatures prostrated themselves on the ground. "Farewell, father." Prince Jiu also bowed deeply. Although he was confused, he calmed down. His father was a real emperor. With his father's help, there was nothing in the world that couldn't be settled. Zhongzhou, Dragon Valley. Previously, the 23 dragon veins under the valley were all absorbed by Lin Xian and the others. But now, they became mysterious again. Previously, Lin Xian had suppressed the 10,000 dragons tribe and made them submit to him. Now, the 10,000 dragons tribe had sent all of their dragon veins over. In the Dragon Valley, the dragon veins were extremely powerful. That aura caused all the nearby demonic beasts to roar in excitement. Some monsters even gathered a terrifying monster army and started to attack crazily. In the end, the Crimson Dragon and the Toad fought and killed a few powerful monsters. The other monsters didn't dare to come anymore. They could only roar from afar.
Rich.
This time, they really made a fortune. The Crimson Dragon's eyes were wide open. The Toad said, "Haha, do you think I will become a dragon toad after absorbing all this dragon aura?" The Crimson Dragon looked at it with disdain. "You are at most a toad. I've heard of bullfrogs, but not dragon frogs." "That's not necessarily true. Just because no one has done it before doesn't mean that I can't do it," the Toad said. Lin Xian said, "That's right. What our predecessors couldn't do doesn't mean that we can't do it. Anything was possible." The 3,000 dragon veins here made Lin Xian extremely excited. He took out 1,000 dragon veins and placed them in the sword world. As for the remaining 2,000 dragon veins, Lin Xian was prepared to hide them properly. 100,000 years later, it would definitely bring him a miracle. Of course, he had to think about it carefully. After all, there were too many variables in 100,000 years. It would be bad if all his efforts went in vain. Don't worry about that for now. Let's cultivate for a while first. The toad and the crimson dragon quickly jumped into the dragon vein to absorb it. Lin Xian and Little White also went in. They crazily absorbed the dragon veins. He felt as if his entire body was changing. Of course, it was still not easy to achieve a breakthrough. After all, Lin Xian was already the Seven-Crown King. Moreover, he had many unique skills. The power he needed to achieve a breakthrough was probably several times that of others. Suddenly, Lin Xian's expression changed. With a wave of his hand, a black vortex appeared. It swallowed everything. The Crimson Dragon said, "Kid, what's going on?" He felt a powerful message that surpassed that of a quasi-emperor. Could it be? Lin Xian was surprised. Before he could finish speaking, he saw a golden light forming a great Tao that covered the sky. Then a figure stood in the sky. No matter what, this figure was like a peerless god, standing between heaven and earth. Everything was revealed at once. Lin Xian could also feel a powerful force pressing down on him, making him want to kneel down and kowtow. He was shocked and his pupils shrank. This power was the Great Emperor. The Great Emperor of this era could only be Emperor Xia of the Great Xia dynasty. The other party had appeared and was looking for him.
Why?
Was it because he was a threat? Lin Xian was facing a great enemy. The dragon in his body roared and formed a backbone, preventing him from kneeling down. At the same time, he secretly held the swallowing heaven jar tightly. If there was any attack, he would immediately defend. He bowed. "Greetings, Emperor Xia." Emperor Xia's eyes were like a lamp, looking down. "Impressive, young man. I have only seen two people who can see me without kneeling down. The first is Long Xiaotian and the second is you." Lin Xian was surprised after hearing this. He did not kneel because he had many trump cards in his body. He had the dragon sword spirit and the swallowing heaven jar. Long Xiaotian did not kneel when he saw the Great Emperor. This meant that Long Xiaotian also had many trump cards. No wonder he was able to become the Dragon Emperor. He was indeed powerful when he was young. Lin Xian knew that every person who had become a martial emperor had been the strongest genius in the world during their time. Long Xiaotian could not be underestimated. Lin Xian said, "Senior, you flatter me. May I know what you are here for?" "I came to see you," Emperor Xia said in a deep voice. As he spoke, countless lotuses appeared. This was probably the legendary lotus spitting from the mouth. Every word and action carried the supreme law, which was shocking. Lin Xian was even more surprised after hearing this. "See me?" He was not a peerless beauty. What was there to see? Emperor Xia's eyes flickered. He seemed to be discussing Lin Xian. Lin Xian felt his hair stand on end. It was as if the secret on his body had been seen through. Fortunately, he had the Sword World. He had placed some secrets in the Sword World. Thinking about it, even the Great Emperor could not see through it. Some time ago, I observed the sky at night and found a meteor that seemed to interfere with the heavenly secrets. At that time, I calculated it, but I did not manage to deduce it. However, the day after the meteor appeared, you seem to have appeared. At first, your appearance did not attract my attention. But later, you showed strong strength and rose like a comet. I began to deduce you. However, I couldn't deduce you. You seemed to have a power that covered the heavenly secrets. Even Long Xiaotian did not seem to have this. So, I am very curious.
Who are you?
After Lin Xian heard this, he was shocked. As expected of the Great Emperor, his strength was strong enough. When he arrived, the other party noticed him. Fortunately, the other party did not make a move. Otherwise, the situation would be troublesome. At the same time, he also sighed. The other party could not detect his heavenly secrets because he came from 100,000 years later. Long Xiaotian was strong, but after all, he was a person of this era and had not yet become an emperor. Emperor Xia could naturally deduce it. However, he was different. He did not belong to this era. Junior Lin Wudi is from the true spirit world. Lin Wudi? Emperor Xia was stunned. This title seemed to be even more arrogant than Long Xiaotian. Long Xiaotian called himself the king of 10,000 dragons. However, that was only the king of the dragon clan. And this invincible, did it mean that he was invincible in the universe? As for what the other party said about being in the true spirit world, Emperor Xia did not believe it. However, Lin Xian was right. He was indeed a person who grew up in the true spirit world. It was just that he was a person from 100,000 years later. He did not say this, and Emperor Xia probably did not guess it. Chapter 5803. Emperor Xia felt that Lin Xian was very mysterious. He looked at him carefully for a long time, which made Lin Xian's hair stand on end. At this time, Emperor Xia said, "Young man, are you willing to be my disciple?" When he heard these words, Lin Xian was stunned as well. Acknowledging the other party as his master? To be honest, if this condition spread throughout the universe, anyone would immediately kneel down and worship Emperor Xia as their master. This was a great emperor. If he worshipped the great emperor as his master, his future would be limitless. However, Lin Xian hesitated. "What? Young man, are you not willing?" Emperor Xia was also stunned. What kind of joke was this? He had put down his face and personally accepted the other party as his disciple. How could the other party refuse? However, it seemed that the other party was really going to refuse. If the other party refused, what would happen to his face? "Young man, do you know the benefits of worshipping me as your master?" Lin Xian said, "Thank you, Emperor Xia, for your kindness. However, I already have a master, so forgive me for not being able to worship you as my master." Did he really refuse? Emperor Xia was stunned. Many people in the universe crazily wanted such an opportunity. But now, he had given it to the other party, and the other party could easily refuse. Was he not charming enough? Was he not strong enough? What kind of joke was this? Even that dragon Xiaotian was just an ant-like existence in his eyes. He was the emperor. He was the emperor who stood at the peak of the universe. The other party actually refused. Emperor Xia's expression was not very good. However, Lin Xian did not struggle on this issue. He was a person from 100,000 years in the future and could not stay here for too long. He asked Senior, "Do you know about half a frog?" Emperor Xia frowned. "What half a frog? Even if it's a frog, I don't care about it." "No, that's not it. This frog is a half-step sovereign. It's half of a sovereign's body. I came here to find him." "Senior, you really don't know? Half a great emperor. How could it be possible? How could there be a great emperor in this era?" Emperor Xia was stunned. Could it be that some ancient existence had awakened? His era of being an emperor could last for 10 to 20,000 years. During this process, no one was able to become a martial monarch. Of course, there was an exception, and that was if the previous martial monarch woke up. This way, his great Tao could not suppress the other party. From the looks of it, that half-frog should be some ancient existence. If it's not on your side, then it must be on Long Xiaotian's side. Lin Xian took a deep breath. "Senior, do you know the whereabouts of Long Xiaotian? I must find him. If he teamed up with half-frog, it would be dangerous." Long Xiaotian? What kind of storm could he raise? Right now, he was only the seven-crown king. Lin Xian shook his head and said, "The origin of that half-frog is very powerful. Senior, have you heard of Higan?" This time, the Xia Emperor was truly stunned. He sucked in a breath of cold air. "You know about Higan?" To be honest, he was too shocked. The Heavenly Emperor wasn't the only one who knew about the Prometha. How did these youngsters know about it? Could it be that he's also from a great emperor's sect? It seems like you're an incredible descendant. Is it Higan? It does exist. Even I'm not very clear about it. Long Xiaotian's aura has already risen. However, even if I make a move, there won't be many chances. Therefore, I can't make a move easily. However, if you want to make a move against Long Xiaotian, I can help you. I'll deduce the heavenly secrets and send you over."
"Thank you, Senior."
After hearing this, Lin Xian's face lit up with joy. Next, the Xia Emperor waved his hand, and a compass appeared in the void to deduce the heavens and the earth. Not long after, The Xia Emperor said, I found it. I'll send you over. With a wave of his sleeve, Lin Xian was enveloped and sent into the compass. In the starry sky of the universe, buried Earth Star was already a very mysterious place 100,000 years ago. At this moment, many people from the Dragon Clan had arrived. The leader was naturally Long Yu. Some of the people from the Dragon Clan were here for the first time. Looking around, they exclaimed, This is the legendary Hidden Emperor Star, where countless great emperors are buried. The aura here is indeed mysterious. Is the Dragon King here? These people from the Dragon Clan were shocked. They hadn't seen Long Xiaotian in a long time. Long Yu said, That's right. Big Brother Tian told me to come here to find him. Let's go. Big Brother Tian is sending me a message. She took out a transmission bell and listened to Long Xiaotian's message. However, they kept flying until they finally arrived above the sea. At this moment, the seawater parted and a figure walked out. It was a man with a handsome face and a noble aura. Although he looked young, he was like a high and mighty king who could look down on the common people. As soon as he appeared, the people from the Dragon Clan all knelt on one knee. Greetings, Dragon King. This person was Long Xiaotian. Rise. Long Xiaotian waved his hand and then looked at Long Yu. You're injured? A trace of gentleness appeared in his eyes. Long Xiaotian would probably only show such gentleness in front of Long Yu. Usually, he was a supreme existence who killed decisively. Long Yu also smiled, and her eyes were no longer noble. She said softly, Big Brother Tian, I'm fine. It's just a small injury. However, there's a guy who's too despicable. This time, you have to personally teach him a lesson. Long Xiaotian said, Is it the person who injured you? Long Yu nodded. He calls himself the Dragon God and wants to rule the entire Dragon Clan. He's too despicable. Dragon God. When Long Xiaotian heard this, he frowned and sneered. What an arrogant thing. He dares to call himself a god of the Dragon Clan? Is he looking down on me? When I'm done here, I want to see with my own eyes who's so arrogant. Long Xiaotian was so angry that he laughed. He didn't even dare to call himself a god. Who dared to be more arrogant than him? You don't have to wait that long. I'm already here. Suddenly, a voice rang out in the sky, and the earth cracked. At the same time, a terrifying sword intent exploded. It seemed to be able to destroy the sky. At this moment, the sea rolled. The people from the Dragon Clan were so scared that their scalps went numb. Their bodies trembled as they looked up at the sky. Damn it, what happened? The Dragon God was here. Long Yu's expression changed. That voice was so familiar. Could it be the other party? She looked up and saw that the void seemed to be torn apart by a pair of heavenly hands. A terrifying black hole appeared, and from within, an extremely powerful sword intent came. It was incomparably sharp and invincible. Then a figure appeared in the sky. He was like a sword god looking down on the world. Was it that kid? Long Yu's expression became incomparably serious. She couldn't see clearly because the other party's sword intent was too strong. It blocked her soul from probing. Long Xiaotian pulled Long Yu behind him. At the same time, he took a step forward. The aura of the Tao of Dragons erupted from him. He was like an immortal as he soared into the sky. The two forces collided, tearing apart the sky. A merciless storm pierced through the sea. What a powerful aura. Dragon Xiaotian frowned. Is that him? Long Yu said, I'm not sure. I can't see his face clearly, but I remember his voice. It should be that dragon god. Chapter 5804. You're the guy who calls himself the Dragon God? Long Xiaotian looked up at the sky. Endless power erupted from his body, piercing through heaven and earth. The surrounding void was constantly shattering, unable to withstand his pressure at all. Lin Xian, who was in the sky, also narrowed his eyes when he sensed the other party's aura. 7 Crown Kings cultivation? It was the same as him. That was good. A battle of the same level was just what he wanted. Let me see what ability you, the first place of the dragon transformation battle, have. Lin Xian was also filled with battle intent. His gaze fell, carrying the power of reincarnation. It was like a peerless divine sword. It slashed directly at Long Xiaotian. How arrogant. The surrounding dragon race people were furious. How dare he attack Long Xiaotian? Did he not know what death was? However, when they sensed that gaze, they began to retreat non-stop. How terrifying. Just by looking at him, he was already so terrifying. Then, how terrifying would his true strength be? They did not dare to imagine. This dragon god was actually so strong. Long Yu was also stunned. Could it be that he was the same as Brother Tian and had reached 7 Crown King? She did not dare to imagine that there was such a terrifying existence in the younger generation. Moreover, the other party was from the dragon race. Long Xiaotian snorted coldly. His eyes also exploded with endless light. His eyes were like the sun and moon, emitting a vision of heaven and earth. It collided with Lin Xian's reincarnation power. The surrounding sky and earth cracked. Then, Dragon Xiaotian roared angrily and rushed towards Zhou Tian to kill. 10,000 Dragon Fist. His fists danced in the air with boundless power. On his fist, the aura of the Dragon Dao surged, as if it had turned into a true dragon, sweeping through heaven and earth. Lin Xian also punched. He used the 9 Suns Divine Fist. On the golden fist, divine fire danced, as if it had turned into the sun. The battle between the two shook heaven and earth. In an instant it was like 2 gods colliding. The entire sea was torn in 2. The others also retreated in horror. The dragon race people retreated far away, their faces filled with shock. I wonder how this battle will go. Long Yu snorted coldly. Is there a need to think? Brother Tian would definitely win. After one blow, countless black holes appeared in the sky. Lin Xian and Long Xiaotian retreated. So valiant. Lin Xian was shocked, as expected of a person who would become the Dragon Emperor in the future. Now, 7 Crown King's strength was already so terrifying. One had to know how terrifying Lin Xian was. Now, his opponent was able to fight evenly with him. It can be imagined that when Long Xiaotian was young, how heaven-defying was. On the other side, Long Xiaotian was equally shocked. He was the pride of this era. He was destined to become a great emperor in the future. In the younger generation, no one was a match for him. In fact, even the older generation could not suppress him. In this era, there were not many people who could give him pressure. But now, a young man had appeared and made him feel as if he was facing a great enemy. How could he not be shocked?
Fight.
Long Xiaotian rushed over again, his body, endless dragon breath around. With a single finger, tens of thousands of dragons coiled around it, forming a single finger that pointed forward. This finger kept attacking, and the void was filled with dazzling light. Haha, good one. Lin Xian used the heaven-defying fist. When he punched out, the terrifying power caused the dragon tribe members in the distance to tremble in fear. The two fought again. In the blink of an eye, over 100 moves had passed, and it was difficult to determine the victor. How could it be like this? Long Yu was stunned. Usually, when Long Xiaotian fought, he would kill in an instant. Even if the opponent was strong, he would be able to finish the battle within 30 moves. Now, after 100 moves, it was still difficult to determine the victor. Was this person already so terrifying to such an extent? Long Xiaotian's face was cold.
Damn it.
He waved his hand, and a dragon spear appeared in his hand. This dragon spear was made of the dragon tendons of an ancient dragon. It was abnormally terrifying and blood-red. There was also dragon blood circling it. The moment it appeared, its killing intent covered the sky. It caused the surrounding mountains to shatter and the sea to split open. One could imagine how terrifying this weapon was. Was he using a weapon? Brother Tian was really angry. In the distance, Long Yu exclaimed. Those from the dragon tribe were elated as well. It seemed like this battle was about to end. Kid, I have to admit that you are very strong. Although I don't know where you came from, I have no patience. But I've run out of patience. You can go to hell. With a spear in hand, Long Xiaotian's aura became stronger again. Lin Xian also took out the god-slaying sword. That long sword was like a peerless blade, and the killing intent on it also swept across the land. Come, I have never lost in a battle of the same level. So, Long Xiaotian was ready to taste the taste of defeat. Qianquan's sword technique. Lin Xian waved the god-slaying sword, and sword qi surrounded it. Everything in the world was a sword, and the sea below turned into a terrifying sword of the sea. It covered the sky and the earth, and charged over. Get lost. The spear was like a dragon. The sword of the sea below brought great pressure to Long Xiaotian. Long Xiaotian quickly waved his long spear, and like a real dragon, he tore the sea apart. At the same time, he quickly charged towards Lin Xian. A spear pierced towards Lin Xian's head. However, the god-slaying sword blocked in front of him. With a clang, the two weapons collided, and they retreated again.
They were evenly matched again.
The two sides fought again. Lin Xian's Qianquan sword technique was stronger than before. That sword qi appeared and disappeared unpredictably. Everything could be turned into a sword, and it was impossible to guard against. Long Xiaotian's dragon spear was also incomparably domineering, and the majestic power could blast everything away. Only Lin Xian would be able to contend against him. If it was any other Seven-Crown King, they would have died long ago. Not to mention Seven-Crown King, even Eight-Crown King could not block it. Perhaps only Nine-Crown King would be able to resist it. These two people were both peerless geniuses. One swept through everything 100,000 years ago, and the other was invincible 100,000 years later. The two collided at this moment, and it was really a fierce battle. It was exciting to the extreme. Damn it! Long Xiaotian's expression was ugly. To be honest, he could not bear it. He had been invincible in this era for too long, and he did not allow anyone to challenge him. 300 moves, and he had not taken down the other party. He could not wait any longer. He would use his trump card, Ancient War Dragon. His palm formed a seal and struck toward the sky. Endless cracks covered the sky, and a terrifying array formation appeared. Then, the figure of a war dragon appeared from inside. That war dragon carried endless battle intent, as if it was a peerless war god. When it appeared, it swept through everything. Kid, go to hell. The war dragon's claws covered the sky and pressed down. Lin Xian's expression changed. What a terrifying power. Heaven-defying art, heaven-defying sword. He took a deep breath, and the sound of a dragon's roar came from his body. Dragon-shaped sword qi flew out. Divine Dragon Slash. The immortal slaying sword in his hand seemed to have turned into a divine dragon, colliding with the war dragon in the sky. The two behemoths clashed. The divine dragon swung its tail, and it was so powerful that it actually sent the war dragon flying. The war dragon was suppressed, and it shattered the world, letting out a series of angry roars. Long Xiaotian's face was also pale, and he took a few steps back. He was dumbfounded. What a terrifying dragon aura. Who exactly are you? Chapter 58:05. Seeing Long Xiaotian's flustered and exasperated look, Lin Xian laughed loudly. He said, "From now on, the Dragon Clan will respect me. You are the Dragon King, and I am the Dragon God. Submit to me, Long Xiaotian." Are you dreaming? Long Xiaotian snorted coldly. He used a variety of unique skills. Riding the clouds and mist, moving mountains and filling the sea, all kinds of peerless abilities emerged one after another. This was the ancient and modern techniques that he had mastered. On Lin Xian's side, he also used the heaven-defying art to fight against it. At first, the people of the Dragon Clan had placed their hopes on Long Xiaotian. The ancient scripture that Long Xiaotian had mastered was very terrifying. But now, they did not expect that Lin Xian also had such a terrifying unique skill, the ancient scripture. Especially the other party's sword technique. it was even sharper. Another 100 moves passed. At this time, Lin Xian snorted coldly. Long Xiaotian, I have already seen your ancient scripture and the magical powers of the Dragon Clan. Do you have any other unique skills? If not, then I will send you on your way. As his voice fell, the light of the immortal slaying sword in his hand became more and more terrifying. The sword chi slashed out, as if it could really destroy first. Long Xiaotian snorted coldly. The dragon spear in his hand waved, making a sky-shaking sound, colliding with the other party's sword chi. His face became a little ugly. This was a person he could not defeat, which made him go crazy. He had lived for so long and had never met such a person. If it was Emperor Xia who made him feel like he was facing a great enemy, then he would accept it. After all, Emperor Xia was a true emperor. But now, this person was in the same realm as him. In the same realm, there was someone he could not defeat. How could he become an emperor in the future? On Lin Xian's side, he attacked again, a sword slash, like a flying immortal, breaking the void. Long Xiaotian used his dragon spear to block, but was still sent flying. Brother Tian. When Long Yu and the others in the distance saw this scene, they all exclaimed. Their faces became incomparably ugly. Was Brother Tian suppressed and at a disadvantage?
No.
They felt that the sky had collapsed. How could this kid's swordsmanship be so terrifying? Dragon Xiaotian gritted his teeth and stared at Lin Xian. What a strong attack. Is it possible that you are using the Great Dragon Sword? He was very clear. Among the 5 swords of the world, there was one sword that was closely related to the Dragon Clan. That was the Great Dragon Sword. Dragon Xiaotian had always hoped that he could find the Great Dragon Sword. In this way, his combat strength would reach an incredible level. No one could be his opponent anymore. However, the Great Dragon Sword was simply too mysterious. He had traversed the entire universe, but had yet to find it. Who would have thought that a young man would actually possess the Great Dragon Sword? Lin Xian sneered. It seems that you're quite knowledgeable. That's right, the Great Dragon Sword. What do you think? Does it feel good? Damn it, don't think that you can win just because you have the Great Dragon Sword. I've never lost to anyone in the same realm. Long Xiaotian roared. His hand grasped the void. The void collapsed. A purple pagoda appeared in the void and was grabbed by Long Xiaotian. As soon as the purple pagoda appeared, it emitted bursts of thunder. There was an illusion of a purple dragon circling above the pagoda. Between heaven and earth, purple lightning constantly swept. When they saw this scene, Long Yu and the others all exclaimed, "Purple Dragon Pagoda." Brother Tian, are you going to use this weapon? The people of the Myriad Dragon Clan were also shocked. Had the Dragon Emperor reached such a level? The Purple Dragon Pagoda was very terrifying. It was one of Long Xiaotian's trump cards. Holding the Purple Dragon Pagoda in his hand, Long Xiaotian's eyes erupted with an extremely cold light. Then, he quickly rushed over. The purple dragon above the Purple Dragon Pagoda charged towards Lin Xian with the power of thunder and lightning. At the same time, he waved the dragon spear in his hand, restraining the god-slaying sword. Kid, feel the power of the Purple Dragon Pagoda. Lin Xian was also very surprised. As expected of Long Xiaotian, he was indeed powerful. Previously, the other party had displayed a powerful ancient scripture. If Lin Xian had not been fighting all the way and created the heaven-defying art, it would have been difficult for him to resist. Now, the other party had begun to use his weapon again. The dragon spear was very powerful, and this Purple Dragon Pagoda also gave him a kind of threat. However, his trump card was not weak either. With a wave of his hand, the universe ring appeared in his hand. He waved it forward.
Boom.
A silver light streaked across and hit the Purple Dragon Pagoda. The lightning that filled the sky was shattered. The Purple Dragon illusion was also instantly destroyed. The Purple Dragon Pagoda shook violently, and the surrounding sky and earth cracked. The Purple Dragon Pagoda flew out, and the universe ring also returned to Lin Xian's hand. Your trump card is not that good either? Lin Xian sneered. Long Xiaotian was completely stunned. How is this possible? The other party actually blocked the purple dragon pagoda. One had to know that this purple dragon pagoda was not easy for him to obtain. This was a treasure left behind by an expert of the ancient era, the purple dragon. Even now, he had not fully grasped it. However, the power of the purple dragon lightning on it was enough to destroy everything. He had once used this thing to kill the Nine-Crowned King. Could it be that he still could not do anything to the other party now? What was that golden ring of light? Damn it! How did the other party also have such a terrifying trump card? It was useless. Lin Xian shook his head. You are not my match at all.
Submit.
Long Xiaotian was silent. To be honest, he still had many trump cards in his hand. Just those weapons alone were quite a few. However, even the purple dragon pagoda was easily blocked. Thus, it would be very difficult for his weapons and skills to be of any use. Therefore, he had to take out something even more powerful. He thought for a long time and seemed to have made some kind of decision. Kid, you are very strong. It can be said that you are the strongest person I have met in my journey. Now, there are two people who have shocked me. The first is Emperor Xia. He is the strongest person of this era. The second is you. In a battle of the same level, I have never met such a powerful expert. However, you have completely angered me. To be able to die in my hands, you can be proud of yourself for the rest of your life. What was Brother Tian going to do? Could it be that he could not use that weapon? That weapon was really too dangerous. Long Yu was stunned. Could it be that Brother Tian had other ways to kill the other party? How could this person be so terrifying? Did he still have a trump card? Long Xiaotian then take it out. Otherwise, you will not have a chance. This time, Long Xiaotian's expression was incomparably serious. He floated the purple dragon pagoda above his head and then formed a seal with both hands. In front of him, a black aura appeared, forming a fog. Inside, a wave of death energy spread out. The surroundings instantly became barren. What a terrifying aura of death. Lin Xian's expression was incomparably serious. This thing actually brought about a threat to his life. This Long Xiaotian was really strong.
Just what was this thing?
He looked forward, and his Rinnegan bloomed. In the next moment, he was stunned. The Death God Lamp. How did the other party have this thing? Chapter 5806. Dragon Xiaotian was also surprised. You actually recognize it. Humph, since you recognize it, then you know its power. So, I want to see how you resist it. There was a trace of cruelty in Dragon Xiaotian's eyes. On the other hand, Lin Xian's brows were tightly knitted together. Of course, he recognized this thing. Before coming here 100,000 years ago, he had entered Hell. When they first entered Hell, something happened. 3 big sects fought over the Death God Lamp. From this, one could imagine just how amazing of a treasure this was. At that time, he did not participate. However, he did not expect that this was the magic lamp. 100,000 years ago, it was in the hands of Dragon Xiaotian. I don't know who got it 100,000 years later. There has been no news about this in Hell. Well, boy, it's all over. Dragon Xiaotian tracked the death lamp, and an extremely terrifying death aura shrouded the front. Lin Xian's scalp went numb, and he felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. This death lamp was really terrifying. The death aura on it was really terrifying. The universe ring could only be used once in a while. Lin Xian put it away. He waved the Kill Immortal sword and shot out a few terrifying sword chi, splitting the death aura. However, the death flames formed by the Death God Lamp were simply too numerous. They covered the sky and covered the earth. The cracks that Lin Xian split open were quickly covered by new flames.
Boy, die in despair.
Dragon Xiaotian sneered again and again. Lin Xian used the Nine-Yang Divine Body and the Nine-Yang Divine Fire to block. The Divine Fire and the Death God's Fire collided. However, this Death God's Fire could suppress Lin Xian's Nine-Yang Fire. This caused Lin Xian to be incomparably shocked. What was the origin of this god death lamp? The nine-yang divine body, the most masculine, ranked 11th in the starry sky. There were not many physiques stronger than him. And now Lin Xian had practiced to a very powerful level, but he could not beat the death god's fire. It's useless, boy. No matter how powerful you are, you can't resist this death lamp. Humph, is that so? Lin Xian coldly snorted. An extremely sharp light erupted from his eyes. The strength of the dragon within him roared out. The immortal exterminating sword emitted a cold light, and the sword Qi was brandished. The sword slashed all directions. The entire world was slashed apart. 8 cracks appeared, tearing the sky into pieces. The void was shaking nonstop. The people of the Myriad Dragon clan fled frantically. This person's sword energy was too powerful. Longyu was also a hindrance, but she smiled. It was useless. Brother Tian had actually taken out the death god lamp. This battle was a sure win. What a terrifying sword Qi. As expected of the power of the great dragon sword soul, there was nothing it could not overcome. Long Xiaoyan's face was also cold. He saw that another crack had appeared on the death god's fire. It swayed as if it was about to be extinguished. However, in the next moment, he spat out a mouthful of dragon blood, which landed on the death god lamp. Immediately, the flames of death grew even more terrifying. They connected on top, forming a death rune, condensing into an illusion. That illusion was abnormally hazy, but it was indomitable. He held the Book of Death in his hand, and the death god's blade in his mouth. This was a kind of illusion of the death god.
It was too terrifying.
It blotted out the sky and covered the earth, charging towards Lin Xian. Before it arrived, Lin Xian felt that his life was about to be taken away. Lin Xian roared. He struck out the Taiji diagram, which turned into yin and yang to resist. However, this time, the yin and yang god was actually split in half by the death god's blade. Boy, it's all over. Long Xiaoyan's eyes were incomparably cold. The corners of his mouth rose, and he smiled. After killing the other party, the great dragon sword soul would be his. Then, his strength would become extremely terrifying. Perhaps he could become a great emperor in advance. Lin Xian shook his head. You don't understand the power of the great dragon sword soul. Let me tell you, what is a true sword technique? A heaven-defying sword technique. The sword god attacked. The sword Qi on the immortal slaying sword permeated, forming a figure. This was the figure of the sword god, standing indomitable, confronting the death god. The two behemoths were in conflict in the sky. The death god's blade slashed down, able to take away all life. However, this time, the sword god's figure was equally terrifying, and his mountain-like body swayed. An extremely terrifying cold light burst out from his eyes. The sword Qi that appeared in his hand was tens of thousands of miles long, slashing straight to the sky. An earth-shaking sound came, and the sword Qi and the death god's blade collided. Then, the two behemoths retreated respectively, and Lin Xian was behind, constantly erupting with the power of the great dragon sword soul. It made the sword's figure more and more terrifying. With a roar, like the roar of a god, a sword slashed down, and the divine fire illusion was split in half. The death god's fire that filled the sky disappeared. Long Xiaotian flew out as if he was struck by lightning, vomiting blood. You actually destroyed the death god's illusion. This is impossible. He was crazy, this death god lamp, how terrifying he knew. The death god's illusion summoned was even more terrifying. Even if he wanted to deal with it, it would be as difficult as ascending to the sky. But now it was cut open by the other party. Was this the power of the great dragon sword soul? He was actually this powerful. Damn it, I don't believe it. The dragon blood on Long Xiaotian's body erupted, and 10,000 dragons condensed under his feet, absorbing the power of heaven and earth to repair his body. The next moment, he grabbed the death god lamp and quickly rushed over. Go to hell. This time, There was no terrifying death god's illusion, but a lamp's true body. Wherever it passed, everything in the void became barren, as if it had turned into the Nine Serenities hell. Lin Xian frowned and shouted, Long Xiaotian is really strong. After receiving such a strong attack just now, he can recover so quickly. As expected, he will become a great emperor in the future. Feeling the qi coming from the death god lamp, Lin Xian also frowned tightly. Such a terrifying weapon, I don't believe you can completely control it. Lin Xian guessed that Dragon Xiaotian taking out the death god lamp should be a method to injure both sides. Even if he won, he would still be injured. However, he would not let the other party win this battle. Looking at the death god lamp rushing over, Lin Xian did not use the power of the great dragon sword soul again. This made the people of the 10,000 dragon clan behind him happy. Long Yu was also happy. He had no power? Great. If he couldn't use the great dragon sword soul, he would die without a doubt. Long Xiaotian sneered. How about it? Arrogant. My power is more than 10 times yours. Even if I am injured, I can recover. What about you? After using this sword, you have no power, right? In that case, you can go to hell. Lin Xian smiled. You are too arrogant. Do you really think you are a high and mighty existence in this world? Unfortunately, you're not. I'll let you see my trump card. Do you think that my only trump card is the great dragon sword soul? You are too naive. After Lin Xian finished speaking, he waved his hand, and a black jar appeared. He slammed it forward. The black jar, with an endless vortex, emitted an extreme aura and slammed hard on the death god lamp. The shocking collision shattered heaven and earth, and a terrifying power swept in all directions. On one side was the super strong death power. On the other side was the extreme aura that swallowed everything. The people of the 10,000 dragon clan were all sent flying. Long Yu also vomited blood and retreated, her face full of horror. What is that? Next to her, her sister Long Qing exclaimed, Why do I feel a great power? In front, Long Xiaotian roared, Extreme weapon, you actually have an extreme weapon? He was really crazy. Which great emperor are you the descendant of? Chapter 5807. Lin Xian didn't answer the other party's words. Instead, he said, Do you think you can fight against me just because you have the death god lamp? Very naive. I'll take your death god lamp. Swallow it for me. The heaven-swallowing jar erupted with power once again. The power extracted from the sword world erupted. It swallowed the heavens and the earth, wanting to swallow the death god lamp. On the death god lamp, the phantom of the death god appeared again. It roared towards the sky, its face filled with unwillingness. However, under the heaven-swallowing jar, it was helpless. It was about to be swallowed. At this moment, Long Xiaotian roared. A bone flew out from his body and hit the heaven-swallowing jar, causing it to shake. The devouring vortex deviated from its direction. The death god lamp quickly retreated. Long Xiaotian took the death god lamp and entered the purple dragon pagoda, smashing through the void to escape. At the same time, he said, Let's go. Seeing this, Long Yu hurriedly got on the space war chariot and also teleported away. Between heaven and earth, there was only a terrifying black hole. Lin Xian put away the heaven-swallowing jar and did not chase after it. He frowned tightly. It had to be said that Long Xiaotian had too many treasures on him. He was not inferior to him. It was very difficult to kill such a person, especially the white bone that appeared at the end. It made him very surprised. He felt that it was very familiar. Suddenly, he was stunned. After entering this world, he found a bone. The bone floated there. Although it did not emit any light, it was as heavy as a mountain. This was the Emperor Bone. The Emperor Bone was given to him by the Soul Emperor. He recalled the previous attack. The bone in Long Xiaotian's hand was very similar to this. Could it be the bone of the Emperor Bone? This Long Xiaotian truly had a great fortune. Such an existence actually managed to obtain the Sovereign Bone. That was the founder of the Yuhua Immortal Dynasty. He was a super powerhouse who wanted to ascend to the immortal realm. Although the other party was dead, he had left behind many methods to revive himself. The Demon Emperor could revive the Emperor Bone through the illusion demon scripture. Such a terrifying figure could probably revive himself. This bone should be the key to his resurrection. But why did the other parties split up? In that case, it would not be easy to find all of them. Lin Xian still didn't know that although the venerable sovereign was powerful, he was still a venerable sovereign. However, venerable sovereigns also had peerless enemies. The ancestor had died with hatred in his heart. He wanted to be reborn, but he knew that his enemies would not let him go. Therefore, he could only spread out. Otherwise, if they were to gather together and be discovered by the enemy, he would no longer have any hope of reviving. He had to snatch the Emperor Bone. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. The Dragon Emperor would definitely not let this matter rest after suffering such a huge loss. If the other party knew about the existence of the half-frog, he should have gone to look for the other party by now. Thinking of this, Lin Xian did not dare to be careless. He quickly used the heaven-devouring jar to capture the aura of the Dragon Monarch. Then he used the Rinnegan to investigate. He wanted to lock onto the Dragon Emperor's trail and find the half-frog. As for how to kill half a frog, Lin Xian was still trying to think of a solution. De Long had indeed given him a solution. Immortal Slaying Sword Formation. The Immortal Slaying Sword was left behind by an incredible existence in the past. That powerhouse had a formation called the Immortal Slaying Sword Formation. This formation could slay immortals. But Lin Xian only had one Immortal Slaying Sword now. Legend had it that the Immortal Slaying Sword Formation was formed by 4 peerless divine swords. Moreover, Lin Xian was now the Seven-Crowned King, and that powerhouse had long been a great emperor. Even among the great emperors, he was an unparalleled existence. Therefore, if Lin Xian used it, its power would definitely be much weaker. However, there was still a way to make up for it. The formation formed by the Immortal Slaying Sword, the power of the Dragon Sword Spirit, and the 9,999 dragon veins had a chance to kill half a frog. There were so many dragon veins. Lin Xian was shocked. De Long said, "It's not an ordinary dragon vein. It has to be a supreme-grade dragon vein. The one you killed was a great emperor. Although only half of his body was left, he was still in existence that had become a great emperor. His physique had long since surpassed everything else. To be honest, there was once the 10-Crown King who had killed a great emperor. However, he had also condensed many trump cards. Other than that, no one below the 10-Crown King could kill a great emperor. Even with an extreme weapon, they couldn't kill him. Now that you have this kind of formation, you can set it up. It's already in existence that can shock the world and make ghosts and gods weep." Lin Xian took a deep breath. "Okay, let's do it this way." He quickly summoned the Crimson Dragon and the others and asked them to collect 9,999 supreme-grade dragon veins. The Crimson Dragon. After they heard this, they were shocked. "Kid, so many supreme-grade dragon veins are not easy to find. What do you want to do?" Lin Xian said De Long's words. After the toad heard this, he also exclaimed, "Are you really planning to kill a half-emperor?" To be honest, they knew that Lin Xian was angry, but they only thought that Lin Xian was just talking. After all, that was a great emperor. Half of his body was terrifying to the extreme. It wouldn't be easy to suppress him. It would be difficult to kill him. Lin Xian said, "This is an opportunity. I have the Immortal Slaying Sword and the Great Dragon Sword Soul." In addition, the dragon race is so terrifying in this world. It's not impossible to condense 9,999 supreme-grade spirit veins. More importantly, that half of the frog didn't have immortal chi on it. It only had the physique of an emperor. So, this is our chance. Once we use this half of the frog to cooperate with the Dragon Emperor, if we can really go back, the green-robed Great Emperor will become one. At that time, he will chase me all over the world. I won't let that happen. So, we have to kill him. Okay, I got it. The Crimson Dragon and the others nodded. Then let's fight to the death. If we do something like killing a great emperor, I'm afraid we will become legends. Let's go. Lin Xian waved his hand and left with everyone. Next, he began to attack the dragon race crazily. The cloud dragon race had been conquered. Next, the wind dragon race, the thunder dragon race, the water dragon race, and the fire dragon race were all defeated by Lin Xian and the others. He asked them to provide supreme-grade spirit veins. These dragons originally thought that Dragon Xiaotian would come to save them. But how would they know? Dragon Xiaotian had been scared away and probably wouldn't come back in a short time. Therefore, these 10,000 dragons had no choice but to submit. The supreme-grade dragon veins were quickly collected. Lin Xian left this matter to the Crimson Dragon. On the other side, Lin Xian didn't give up searching for Dragon Xiaotian's traces. He had gone to Burial Earth many times to investigate, but he didn't find him. At this moment, there were already many forbidden lands on Burial Earth. Lin Xian suspected that Dragon Xiaotian and the half of the frog would enter the forbidden lands of life. If that was the case, it would be troublesome. He came to Mount Eternal and wandered outside the forbidden lands of life for a long time, wanting to enter. An earth-shattering roar came from within, and an aura of immortality and indestructibility appeared. There were even dozens of black streaks in the sky. The sky was pressed down from the sky, and Lin Xian used the immortal slaying sword to resist, causing flames to dance. He was forced back, and his face was gloomy. This forbidden lands of death from 100,000 years ago were really arrogant. 100,000 years later, Lin Xian had entered Mount Eternal, but the immortal sovereign didn't say anything. Now, as soon as Lin Xian approached, the existence inside frantically blocked him. Chapter 58:08. However, the current Lin Xian was no longer the same as before. The current Lin Xian had the strength to protect himself, so he stood outside Mount Eternal and shouted coldly, "Immortal Sovereign, have you ever seen half a frog?" The aura of Mount Eternal surged and was extremely terrifying. A figure flew out from inside. This figure wasn't the undying sovereign, but a man. This man wore black battle armor. His aura was powerful. After he came out, he stared at Lin Xian and shouted coldly, "How dare you? How dare you disturb the sovereign? Leave quickly, or your soul will be destroyed." Lin Xian wasn't afraid at all. He said in a deep voice, "Let me ask you, are Dragon Xiaotian and half a frog here? Don't you understand what I'm saying? I told you to get lost." The man in front of him shouted angrily, and heaven and earth shook. The indestructible power swept over, and the surroundings seemed to have entered eternal darkness. Who was this young man in front of him? He actually dared to come to Mount Eternal. The middle-aged man was ready to kill Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly, and the sword energy on his body soared into the sky. So what if it was eternal darkness? I have a sword that can break the darkness. The sword energy waved, splitting the sky. The darkness was split open, and sunlight shone in. The surroundings became bright again. "If you want to fight, I'll accompany you to the end." Lin Xian walked forward like a sword god. The middle-aged man was stunned. He didn't expect the other party to be so powerful. A seven-crown king actually had such combat strength. It was incredible.
Who are you?
He asked coldly. Lin Xian didn't answer and asked his question again. The middle-aged man's face was gloomy, but at this time, a woman in a black dress walked out from inside. He said, "Dragon Xiaotian isn't here, and neither is the half a frog you mentioned. Go elsewhere." After Lin Xian heard this, he turned around and left. The middle-aged man looked at Lin Xian. After he left, he snorted coldly. "Why did you tell him? Could it be that our Mount Eternal is afraid of him?" The woman in the black dress shook her head. This person was not simple. Jizun had tried to calculate his background, but he was actually unable to do so. The heavenly secrets on him were very mysterious, so it was best not to provoke this kind of karma. Even Jizun was unwilling to come into contact with him. The middle-aged man was truly shocked. Lin Xian continued his search. At the same time, in a certain primeval forest in the eastern wasteland of the true spirit world, Long Xiaotian did come out. He did not release the breath of a terrible dragon. Therefore, no one knew that he was here. They came to a cave. The surrounding light was very dark, and there seemed to be a huge monster sleeping in front of him. However, it was unusually blurry. At this moment, a deep voice came from the depths of the cave. You still came. You can make me stronger. Long Xiaotian asked. Of course, I can make you stronger. It won't be a problem for you to become a great emperor. The voice inside spoke. After hearing this, Dragon Xiaotian snorted coldly. Even without your help, I have the confidence to become a great emperor. What I want is to speed up the process.
Can you do that?
Are you planning to work with me? The behemoth slowly walked out from inside. The shadow became more and more solid, and then the figure of half a frog appeared. This frog was incomparably terrifying. His voice merged with the heavenly Tao and seemed to be able to shatter the sky. However, he was locked by several chains. Behind the chains was a pitch-black, demonic palace. I can help you, but you have to let me out. The voice of half a frog sounded. No problem. Long Xiaotian nodded. This made half a frog very puzzled. You were not willing to cooperate with me before. Why did you change your mind so quickly? I am very curious about the reason.
You are not lying to me, are you?
Long Xiaotian's face was gloomy, but in order to gain the trust of half a frog, he said coldly, I met a hateful guy. Oh, is it Emperor Xia who can threaten you? Is he going to make a move on you? Half a frog was also surprised. It had been a while since he came into contact with Long Xiaotian 100,000 years ago. Naturally, he knew some things.
He knew Long Xiaotian.
100,000 years later, the other party had become a great emperor. 100,000 years ago, this era was Emperor Xia's world. Is Emperor Xia going to make a move? It's not him. It's a young man, the successor of the Great Dragon Sword, and he also has an extreme weapon. The successor of the Great Dragon Sword. Hearing this, half a frog's face turned gloomy. There were green flames dancing in his eyes, and a murderous aura spread out. It caused the entire world to tremble, but it soon disappeared. Long Xiaotian was shocked, thinking that the other party was going to make a move on him. He took 2 steps back. Half a frog said, Don't worry, it's not against you. I also hate the successor of the Great Dragon very much. When he said this, he thought of Lin Xian. Back then, he was sent 100,000 years later by Lin Xian. Otherwise, he would have merged with the other half of his body long ago. Now, he swept the world. How could he end up like this? Since our enemies are all successors of the Great Dragon, it's easy. I can teach you a secret method to increase your strength quickly, but you have to help me with one thing. Let you out? I can't do it with my current strength. When I become an emperor, I will definitely let you out. Long Xiaotian said. Half a frog shook his head. It's too long. I can't wait. Help me send a message. In this era, some people should be able to come out of the deity ground. Deity ground? Long Xiaotian frowned tightly. He was already the #1 person of the younger generation. In the future, he would become a great emperor. Therefore, he had heard of some ancient legends. He knew that the true spirit world and the myriad worlds were not the end. In the end, a deity ground would descend, and all the great emperors who wanted to become immortals had to enter the deity ground to seek immortal fate. He naturally knew the origin of half a frog. The other party was from the Nirvana realm, which had the possibility of becoming an immortal. That was why Long Xiaotian came into contact with him. However, the other party was too strong, and he had always been prepared. Lin Xian came, which made him feel like he was facing a great enemy. He had no choice but to cooperate with half a frog. No problem. Long Xiaotian nodded. Next, half a frog taught him a secret method. This was the secret method of the Nirvana realm. It could be said to be an immortal method, a true immortal method. After hearing this, Long Xiaotian's pupils shrank. It was amazing. This was the strength of the Nirvana realm. Any random secret technique that he took out was already so shocking. He clenched his fists. If possible, he must enter the Nirvana realm. Okay, I've passed the secret method to you. You can try to cultivate it. Next, you will also help me do something. After half a frog finished speaking, his body began to change. In the end, he peeled off a layer of skin. Then he said, "Take this thing out. According to the method I told you, refine it and bring it to the universe. You don't have to worry about what happens next." That's all you need to do? Dragon Shoutian took the skin from the other side and left. Next, he refined the skin according to the other party's instructions. Then he formed an array and placed it in the universe. Then Long Shoutian retreated into the distance. Not long after, he found that the array was slowly operating. The peeled frog skin shone with a strange light. Chapter 5809. In the array, the skin of the half-frog was shedding, flashing with a strange light. Then, it hit the depths of the universe, forming an eternal light. At this moment, countless powerhouses sensed it. They looked up at the sky. What is this? In the Grand Xia Empire, the Xia Emperor opened his eyes abruptly. He rose into the air and came to the 9 heavens. The powerhouses of the great Xia dynasty all knelt on the ground and shouted in horror. "Emperor, what happened? That light just now was... Why did I feel a mysterious aura?" Emperor Xia was extremely shocked. His brows were tightly knitted. Could it be that something was going to happen? In the universe, Dragon Shoutian had been watching. When he saw this scene, he was also shocked. He didn't expect that there would be such a heaven and earth phenomenon. Wouldn't everyone know about it? Damn it, this half-frog didn't tell him the truth. His face was gloomy. However, he soon sighed. There was no way it had already happened. This half-frog obviously used some kind of means. I don't know, did he go to ask for help or what? Now, if he wanted to shed all pretense of cordiality with the other party, he wouldn't get anything. I'll just wait and see. I'd like to see what tricks he can play. Dragon Shoutian turned and left. Meanwhile, the experts from the other starry skies of the other worlds were quickly searching for the light. Lin Xian and the others naturally felt it too. Lin Xian looked up at the sky with a trace of solemnity in his eyes. The light just now also made him feel that it was extremely mysterious. What was it that caused this heaven and earth phenomenon? Could it be the other half of the frog? Thinking of this, Lin Xian's figure shook, and a sword wings appeared behind him, helping him to tear the void and come to the universe. The 6 paths of reincarnation locked the direction and began to search. Not long after, he came to the place where Dragon Shoutian had set up the array. However, at this moment, the array had disappeared and the frog skin was gone. However, there was still a residual aura. Lin Xian used his Rinnegan to feel this aura, and his face changed. This time, it was the aura of the half-frog. He was really here. The light just now was emitted by the half-frog. What did he want to do? Do you want to summon Higan? Lin Xian furrowed his brows tightly. He felt that things were getting troublesome. If the people from the Nirvana realm were here, things would get troublesome. It was likely that some incredible existence would appear. This disrupted his plans. He thought for a moment and decided to ask the Xia Emperor for help. Countless emperors wanted to go to the Prometha because it had the power to become an immortal. However, not every emperor was willing to go there. Once they entered the Nirvana realm, they would have to submit and lower their heads. The great emperor was high and mighty. He was the strongest of his generation. How could he be willing to lower his head? Therefore, Lin Xian felt that the Xia Emperor would not bow his head so easily. He was prepared to give it a try. He went to the Grand Xia Empire.
Who was it?
Stop. The guardian of the Grand Xia Empire coldly stated. These people were very strong. They stared at Lin Xian with unfriendly expressions. Lin Xian said, I want to find Emperor Xia.
Just you?
You don't have the right to see them. Kid, just leave. The guards in the front shouted coldly. Lin Xian snorted coldly Emperor Xia, I request an audience. His voice was like a clap of thunder from the 9 heavens, spreading in all directions. Because of that, many of the people inside heard those words. Immediately, the guard became furious.
How dare you?
How can you be so presumptuous in the land of the Grand Xia Empire? They pulled out their swords and sabers and were about to attack. Lin Xian's body emitted a terrifying sword qi that connected heaven and earth. The guards were forced to retreat. The guards were shocked. He was so strong. They thought that a young man was not as strong as them. They did not expect him to be so strong. Who was he? Set up the array. There was a strong enemy attacking. The leader of the guards roared crazily. At the same time, the array around them lit up. Countless experts rushed out from within. The people of the Great Xia dynasty had cold looks on their faces. They had all gone mad. Their empire was the overlord. Even the Dragon Clan did not dare to fight with them. How could this kid in front of them? What was going on? Prince Josie was also alarmed. He walked out and shouted. When he came out and saw Lin Xian, he was stunned. It's you, the Dragon God. He was stunned. His face darkened. Do you want to be enemies with the Grand Xia Empire? Previously, when Lin Xian and Long Xiaotian fought, he thought that both sides would be injured, and he could reap the benefits. Who would have thought that Lin Xian would attack the Grand Xia Empire so soon? He was so arrogant and reckless. I'm not your enemy. I'm here to find Xia Huang. I have something important to do. Looking for father? Prince Josie frowned.
Come in with me. I'll ask.
He was also very curious about Lin Xian. This person who appeared out of nowhere was able to suppress even Long Xiaotian. He wanted to know who this person was. Guards, let him in. The guards around heard Prince Josie's words and made a path for him. They still looked unfriendly. If Lin Xian made any strange moves, they would attack ruthlessly. Prince Josie was very confident and did not take any defensive measures. He came to Lin Xian's side and said, "Come with me." Lin Xian walked in. "You wait here first. I'll go and report to father," Prince Josie said. Before he could leave the palace, a little boy came from the other side. He said, "Your Majesty, 9th Prince, Emperor Xia has ordered Lin Gongzi to go over." Lin Gongzi? Prince Josie was stunned. Where did Lin Gongzi come from? Lin Xian stood up and said, "He's talking about me. My name is Lin Wudi, and I'm also the Dragon God."
Father knows you.
Prince Josie was stunned. Logically speaking, it shouldn't be. His face was full of confusion. Lin Xian walked over. It was not the first time that Lin Xian had met Emperor Xia, so they knew each other. Of course, Prince Josie did not know this. Lin Xian followed the little boy and walked into the depths of the dynasty building. They came to a magnificent hall. Inside, Emperor Xia was waiting for him. "Greetings, senior." After Lin Xian entered, he bowed. Emperor Xia turned his head and said, "Little guy, why are you looking for me?" In fact, Emperor Xia had sensed Lin Xian when he first came in. "Senior, did you see the eternal light from before?" "Of course you saw it. All the worlds in the heavens saw it."
Why?
"Do you know what it is?" Emperor Xia was also very confused about this. Even he, a great emperor, did not know.
How could he know?
However, Lin Xian said, "I know what it is." Emperor Xia was stunned. In the next moment, his body swayed, and he came in front of Lin Xian. A great emperor's aura spread out. Really? Lin Xian felt as if he was facing a great enemy. His bones were about to break. Waves of dragon roars came out of his body to resist. However, he could not help but retreat. Emperor Xia quickly withdrew his aura and said, "I'm too excited. Don't worry, I won't hurt you." He retracted his power. Lin Xian was relieved. His face was pale, and then he said, "I know what it is." It was a signal sent by a half-emperor to the deity ground. Chapter 58:10 Celestial Ground? Emperor Xia was stunned. Was this the legendary place to become an immortal? As a great emperor, he stood at the peak of this era. But he knew this wasn't the end. He could sense that there were many forbidden lands in the universe, and there were many in the quintessential world. The supreme beings in these forbidden lands weren't any weaker than him. They could even compete with him. But these people had been in seclusion and had existed even before he became a great emperor. And they'd existed for many years.
Why?
Wasn't it because they wanted a chance to become an immortal? And it was said that becoming an immortal had something to do with the celestial ground. But when the celestial ground would descend was uncertain. Who knew how many great emperors had missed the chance to descend, and so they'd chosen to hibernate. He hadn't expected the celestial ground to descend. Was this his great opportunity? He roared at the sky in excitement. Everyone in the Grand Xia dynasty was stunned. The ninth prince and the others also rose into the air, looking into the depths of the palace. Father, what happened? Damn it. Was it related to that Lin Gongzi? They were all shocked, but no one dared to go. They didn't believe anyone could hurt the great emperor. Lin Xian's ears hurt from the deafening noise, so he shut off his hearing. He closed his eyes and used Devourer to absorb the power to prevent injury. Then he said, "Senior, I think you're celebrating too early." What did he mean? Emperor Xia stopped laughing and frowned. Lin Xian said, "The celestial ground isn't as wonderful as you think." The great emperor's home in the celestial ground was called the Other Shore. It was indeed a place countless people yearned for. But once you entered the Other Shore, you'd have to bow your head and submit. Would you be willing to become someone subordinate?
Subordinate?
Emperor Xia's expression changed. To tell the truth, he'd been a great emperor for 15,000 years. He'd been invincible for a long time. Only others feared him. He'd already forgotten what it felt like to bow his head. Asking him to bow his head now was more difficult than dying. Lin Gongzi, you're a 7-crown champion.
How do you know so much?
Emperor Xia's eyes flashed with a terrifying light. He was puzzled. The light made Lin Xian feel like he was facing a great enemy. Lin Xian took out his piggy bank and used a black vortex to block it. Extreme weapon. It seems that your background is not simple. Lin Xian, on the other hand, said, "Senior, you don't need to probe into my background and you don't need to know how I know these things. I'm just reminding you that someone from the Otherworld Kingdom will be here soon. When the time comes, you'll know when you interact with them. Of course, they might be able to fool you. Therefore, I hope that you will think about it carefully."
Goodbye.
Lin Xian turned around and left. He knew that Emperor Xia might not believe him completely, but that was not important. All he needed to do was to plant the seeds of doubt in the other party's mind. Judging from the arrogance of the people from the Nirvana realm, both sides would soon clash. After Lin Xian returned, he hurried to set up his Vermilion Immortal Array. No matter who the Otherworld Heavenly King sent, he had to hurry up and set up the Vermilion Immortal Array. Contact the Crimson Dragon and ask about the situation. The Crimson Dragon had already subdued many dragons and had them provide him with top-grade dragon veins. However, there was a piece of news that Dragon Xiaotian had returned. As a result, the other dragon race members had all fled and sided with Dragon Xiaotian. Is Long Xiaotian back? Find his location. I'm going to fight him. At the same time, attack the other dragon race members and make them hand over their dragon veins. Lin Xian asked around and found that they had already collected 3,000 top-grade spirit veins. They had about 13% of them. Not enough, not enough. There was not much time left. At that moment, Lin Xian thought of a way to pass on the technique. He had once cultivated the illusory demon scripture. Although he had now cut off the illusory demon crystal, he could pass it on to others. He could give it to the clans of the ancients. He thought that those people would serve him. Lin Xian went. There were the clans of the ancients, the sky demons, the great sects, the demonic sects, and the earth demon sect. These were all clans and sects that cultivated the demonic path and were very powerful. They were also vicious and cruel. Very few people were willing to deal with them. They were very famous. Lin Xian came. After he arrived, he aggressively killed his way into the sky demons.
Who was it?
The sky demons were furious, but they were brutally suppressed by Lin Xian with a single hand. Lin Xian suppressed the sky demons single-handedly. The sky demons clan leader instantly rushed out. "Do you want to die?" He roared at the sky. A terrifying millstone appeared in his hands. It came from the outer realm and could suppress everything. Lin Xian formed a seal with one hand. The dragon-shaped sword Qi formed a black seal in his hand and slammed it down. Although Lin Xian did not cultivate the illusory demon scripture, the great dragon sword spirit could simulate everything. Therefore, it was easy for him to use these techniques now. The black demonic seal descended from the sky and shattered Mo Fei. The sky demon's clan leader was also forced back, his face full of horror. "You're from the demon race." He was too shocked. "Wanna learn? I can teach you," Lin Xian said in a deep voice. "You wanna die? How dare you trick me?" The sky demon's clan leader roared and attacked with all his might. He rushed over. The other sky demons experts also attacked. In an instant, tens of millions of attacks covered the sky and covered the earth, enveloping Lin Xian. Lin Xian, on the other hand, threw his head back and laughed heartily, forming another seal with one hand. The demonic god seal had already slammed down, causing the thousands of people to vomit blood and fly backwards. Many people's bodies were crushed. Blood dyed the sky red. "It's useless, you're no match for me." Lin Xian stood above the 9 heavens and said solemnly, "I'm using a monarch's mystique, and it's a monarch of the devil race. What do you think? Do you want to learn? Damn it, you will teach us the divine arts of the devils." The heaven devil races people roared crazily. They didn't believe it. Great Emperor divine abilities were the highest level of inheritance. Only Great Emperor clans had them. Furthermore, it was never taught to outsiders. Even in the Great Emperor clans, only the top geniuses could learn it. How could it be passed to them? "As long as you work for me, I will pass it to you." "What's going on?" The clan leader of the Sky Fiend race asked through gritted teeth. "It would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens." Lin Xian said, "Gather 3,000 top-grade dragon veins for me within a month. I'll leave it to your demon god seal." "Was that true?" the Heaven Devil Race's patriarch asked solemnly. Lin Xian said, "Believe it or not, you can judge for yourself. You only have one chance." This was a great mystique, don't miss it. Lin Xian left after saying that. Next, he went to the Demon Gate and the Earth Devil Sect and used the same method to tell them. The Demon Gate and the Earth Devil Sect's people were also shocked. Their eyes burned with passion. "Go all out, 3,000 dragon veins. Within a month, attack the dragon race crazily. Gather spirit veins for me." These people began to move out crazily. In the quintessential world, overwhelming demonic aura swept across the world, causing countless people's scalps to go numb. Gradually, they realized that it wasn't just the quintessential world. There seemed to be devils everywhere. Were these guys crazy? What were they trying to do? Soon, some of the dragon race's people were attacked, and a great battle broke out. The dragon race was very terrifying, but these devils weren't to be trifled with. Moreover, they had a long history, and soon, some of the dragon race's experts were killed. "Hand over the top-grade dragon veins, and I'll spare your life." The devil's voice was cold, covering the world. Chapter 58:11. In the Cloud Dragon Clan, Lin Xian sat high on the throne. He waited patiently. The Crimson Dragon and the Toad also came back. They said, "Boy, will your method work?" Lin Xian said, "Just wait." Not long after, they heard the news of the battle between the Demon Clan and the Dragon Clan. The Toad exclaimed, "There is really a way." The Crimson Dragon said, "You are the only one in the world who dares to take out the Great Emperor's magical power and teach it to others. You are really generous." Lin Xian said, "What's there to be reluctant about? The demon transformation scripture is so strange. If I don't cultivate it, it will be a waste to keep it in my hands." Besides, it's just teaching them a magical power. It's not a big deal. In the inheritance of the great emperor, the most important thing was not these magical powers, but the mental cultivation method of the great emperor. That was the most precious and core thing. However, Lin Xian would not give this thing to others. This mental cultivation method was very wonderful. Lin Xian could use it to comprehend and silently cultivate his heaven-defying art. Tai Peak. In the east of the true spirit world, there was a very famous steep mountain peak. Countless powerful figures had once comprehended here. It could be said to be a sacred place. At this moment, there were many cultivators climbing the mountain to comprehend on this Tai Peak. On Tai Peak, there were many stones with marks on them. Some were sword marks, saber marks, palm prints, and some were strange runes of great Tao. These were all left behind by the powerful figures of the past who had comprehended here. If others could comprehend it, they would benefit greatly. Therefore, these cultivators were scrambling for it. Jin Xiu also came. She came specifically because of the reputation. She heard that there was a very magical place on Tai Peak. Under the moonlight, the image of the Empyrean fairy emerged, practicing a set of magical sword techniques. Only the fated ones could succeed. So this time, Jin Xiu was ready to come and watch. She wanted to see what she could comprehend. This place was called the Nine Heaven Stone. In addition to Jin Xiu Fairy, there were many talented figures and older masters. Around them, they waited silently. Night fell, the sky darkened, and a moon appeared in the sky. The moon today was especially round, and the moonlight shone down. On the Nine Heaven Stone, a mysterious light appeared. In the surroundings, there was even a mist. This made everyone excited. Perhaps, if they were lucky, they might be able to see the phantom of the Empyrean maiden. Jin Xiu was also excited. Her beautiful eyes were fixed on the stone in front of her. A blurry figure seemed to appear in front of him, dancing with a sword under the moonlight. Every move was incomparably mysterious, causing everyone to be stunned. This is great. They were excited to the extreme, but this time, the situation changed. The blurry figure became more and more solid, as if it was about to walk out of the stone. A sword stabbed over, unexpectedly piercing through the void, a great crack appearing everywhere. Quite a few people were sent flying, instantly falling. Oh no, what happened? Everyone was stunned. How could something like this happen? The older masters also frowned. That's impossible. They had never heard of the shadow of Xian Envy of the Nine Heavens coming out and injuring people. Damn it, is someone plotting against us? However, the shadow was completely floating in the sky, dancing under the moonlight like an otherworldly immortal. Moreover, her swordsmanship was getting sharper and sharper. Jin Xiu was also attacked. She dodged a sword chi and landed in the distance. Her face turned extremely ugly. This was not the end. The moon seemed to have become extremely strange. The wind completely enveloped the body of Xian Envy of the Nine Heavens. It formed a mass of armor on her body, and the sword in her hand turned into a sword of the moon, which was extremely terrifying. Another sword chi slashed over, and endless light shrouded Jin Xiu's slender figure. Now, Jin Xiu felt that she was hit by the sword. She fell into the endless darkness. She fell from the sky. Was she going to die? There was a trace of despair in her eyes. She didn't expect that this time. Not only did she not get the opportunity, but she also lost her life. However, when she was stabbed by the sword chi of the moonlight, she found that she was not dead. Instead, she was wrapped up. What is this? Jin Xiu was completely stunned. The strange thing that happened on Grand Peak instantly spread out. For a moment, the whole eastern wilderness was stunned. How could such a strange thing happen? As for this matter, it spread to the central province and even the entire elf world. Nothing could be done about it. Typhoon was extremely mysterious in the entire true spirit world. Someone said, I saw fairy Jin Xiu fall after being hit by the sword. The people of Jin Xiu Palace were in despair. She was their prideful daughter, and now, she had fallen at Tai Peak?
No.
Many people were in despair. The splendid palace had sent out some elders and experts to search for them. Sure enough, there was no news of fairy Jin Xiu. When Luli of Jin Xiu Palace heard the news, the corners of her mouth raised into a smile. Great, she will die without having to do anything. Last time, she cooperated with the Ding family to frame Jin Xiu, but they failed. 2 geniuses of the Ding family even died, which made her extremely scared. Now, she could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Now that Jin Xiu was dead, Jin Xiu Palace would fully support her. Thinking of this, she also set off for Grand Peak. She wanted to see with her own eyes how fairy Jin Xiu fell. For a while, many strong masters went to Grand Peak to investigate. The Great Xia dynasty also sent people there. After all, something strange had happened. When they came to Grand Peak, they felt that the whole peak seemed to have changed. What was the specific situation? But they couldn't tell. The elders of Jin Xiu Palace searched frantically. Jin Xiu, you're not dead, are you? Luli said, I heard that she was hit by a sword. How could she still be alive? Go back, elders. My condolences. I'm here. I will lead Jin Xiu Palace to glory. The corner of Lu Li's mouth raised into a smile. However, at this time, in a certain cliff of Tai foam, a ball of resplendent light erupted. The next moment, countless people looked up and exclaimed, What happens? The people of Jin Xiu Palace were also shocked. The next moment, they saw a figure rise into the air from the cliff, surrounded by moonlight. It was Jin Xiu, who was alive because of Jin Xiu. The elders of Jin Xiu Palace cheered. Luli's face changed drastically. Impossible. How could she still be alive? You must be someone else in disguise. I don't believe it. Go to hell. Lu Li went crazy. She wouldn't allow the other party to live. She slapped out. How dare you? The elders roared crazily. They wanted to stop her, but it was too late. However, Jin Xiu glanced at them. With a wave of her hand, a beam of moonlight flew out and hit Lu Li directly. Lu Li flew backward and was cut in half. She died in despair. At the moment of her death, she couldn't believe it. Weren't they both Saint Kings? How could the other party kill her instantly? The elders exclaimed, This is the power of a supreme saint. Jin Xiu, have you broken through to the supreme saint? It was too shocking. According to their estimation, no matter how talented Jin Xiu was, it was impossible for her to break through to the supreme saint so easily. What happened? Jin Xiu was shocked. She really broke through. The power of the supreme saint was the effect of the moonlight. In fact, it wasn't just her. That day, those who were hit by the moonlight sword energy didn't die. Instead, they were all about to break through. They all broke through to the supreme saint. When these people came out, the whole eastern wilderness was shocked. A group of people broke through together. It was incredible. Chapter 58:12. Countless people were shocked by such a scene, because they had never seen such a breakthrough. It was too fast. Moreover, many people broke through at the same time. What kind of fortuitous encounter was it? Lin Xian frowned when he heard the news. The Crimson Dragon exclaimed, Wow, no way. Why do I feel that it's the same as the deity ground we encountered before? Indeed. Lin Xian's expression was solemn. 100,000 years later, the deity ground descended, causing a vision of heaven and earth in the entire universe. Countless people broke through quickly, and their strength improved by leaps and bounds. Some top great saints even broke through to become quasi-emperors. It could be said that it ushered in a golden age of cultivation. He didn't expect that such a situation would happen again this time. Could it be that the deity ground had descended again? Moreover, Lin Xian knew that before, the half-frog shot out a terrifying light into the depths of the universe. It was very likely that it was to inform the Otherworld Heavenly King. Would the Otherworld Heavenly King descend again? He didn't know, but he knew that the crisis had come. The people of the Great Xia dynasty were also shocked when they heard the news. Emperor Xia even came to Tai Peak in person to observe carefully. He shrouded those who broke through under his gaze. Those people trembled in fear. Greetings, great emperor. It was so strange. Emperor Xia was also surprised. What kind of power is this? He thought of Lin Xian again. Therefore, he looked for Lin Xian. When Emperor Xia came, the Crimson Dragon and the others also held their breaths. Such an expert was truly too terrifying. He could kill them with just a finger. Lin Xian was extremely calm. Senior, what are you here for? Do you know the news on Tai Peak recently? Emperor Xia asked in a deep voice. Lin Xian nodded and smiled in his heart. He knew that Emperor Xia didn't understand it either. After all, the deity ground was very mysterious. It wouldn't descend easily. Every time it descended, only the luckiest people could encounter it. It was the luck of an era. Lin Xian encountered it. He had met it 100,000 years later. Unexpectedly, he had met it 100,000 years ago. He said, I know. That is the aura of the celestial land. The power it gave off caused the world to change. Celestial ground? Emperor Xia's expression was incomparably solemn. It seemed that the people from the deity ground were coming. He had to prepare well. He turned and left. Lin Xian also said to the Crimson Dragon and the others, although this is very dangerous, it is also an opportunity for us. Perhaps we can use this power to break through again. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a cold light. He was already a 7-crown champion. It wouldn't be easy for him to break through. However, if the path to immortality were to descend once more, it would bring with it great power. Lin Xian might be able to use this opportunity to break through and become the 8-crown champion. Long Xiaotian naturally also sensed such a change. The entire Dragon Clan was greatly shocked because many people in the Dragon Clan had used this opportunity to break through. They were overjoyed. The Dragon Clan was going to welcome a new peak. However, they soon discovered that the Dragon Clan was not the only one who had made a breakthrough. The other clans and sects had also made a breakthrough. This confused them. What was going on? The Dragon Clan had a strong bloodline. It was possible for them to break through. Why were the other clans inferior to them able to break through? Long Yi said, Big Brother Tian, what's going on? Her eyes were filled with endless confusion. Long Xiaotian said, it must have something to do with the half-frog. It must be the power brought by that light. Was this the power of the otherworld heavenly king? It was too powerful. It could actually make countless people break through at the same time. In the primeval forest, in a mysterious cave, the half-frog sensed the scene and grinned. Haha, I can feel it. Their power is coming. They are finally coming. When the time comes, I will be free. He was really too excited. He had been trapped in the demon palace for who knew how many tens of thousands of years. He was going crazy. If not for his strong will, he would have died long ago. Even so, he endured the boredom. He wanted to go out. He wanted to conquer the world. He wanted to take revenge on his opponents. In the depths of the universe, there was indeed a mysterious power. It seemed that the otherworld heavenly king was really coming. The entire universe shook. Lin Xian also began to prepare. On one hand, the 3 demon clans were frantically collecting the supreme-grade dragon veins. Lin Xian began to set up the immortal slaying formation. On the other hand, he also began to look for a place to snatch the power of the immortal path to break through. After looking around, Lin Xian chose a place. Dragon's Ridge. Like Tai Peak, this place was extremely famous in the true spirit world. However, Tai Peak was in the east, while Dragon's Ridge was in the south. The Dragon's Ridge was continuous, like a divine dragon lying on the ground. Logically speaking, this was a holy land for cultivation. It was a place that countless people wanted to come to. But on the contrary, no one dared to come to the Dragon's Ridge. It was very quiet. Even the Dragon Clan would not come here. They would even deliberately avoid this place. Because the Dragon's Ridge was very strange. There was once a Dragon Clan expert who saw the strange terrain of the Dragon's Ridge. It contained a strong dragon chi, so he cultivated here. In the end, He died inexplicably. There were also a few terrifying Dragon Clan experts who were preparing to build their own clans here. However, overnight, they were turned into ashes. From then on, the mysterious legend of the Dragon's Ridge spread. Countless people investigated, but they did not find anything. Some people did not believe it and cultivated here. In the end, they all died unexpectedly. Therefore, no one dared to come to the Dragon's Ridge anymore. There were not even many demonic beasts. However, on this day, the Dragon's Ridge changed. In the sky, endless lightning flashed, and waves of dragon roars came from the Dragon's Ridge. Countless people in the south all looked up at the sky. Did it change again? Could it be that it was the same as Tai Peak? We didn't have a chance to get Tai Peak last time. This time, it's in the south. We must get it. Countless experts soared into the sky. However, when they saw the place where the power came from, they all stopped. Their faces became ugly. His face turned extremely ugly. Damn it! Why is it here? It was actually the Dragon's Ridge, this incomparably mysterious place. These people hesitated. No one dared to go down. This matter was not only in the southern wasteland but also in the entire true spirit world. For a moment, experts from other places also rushed over. The people of the Dragon Clan naturally had to know. They quickly reported it to Dragon Xiaotian. After hearing this, Dragon Xiaotian's eyes bloomed with a sharp light. If he went and obtained this magical power, he might be able to break through. In that way, his strength would increase again, reaching an unbelievable level. Therefore, he was tempted. However, Long Yu said, "Brother Tian, don't act rashly. The Dragon's Ridge is incomparably strange. We have investigated before. We can't go there easily." Indeed. Dragon Xiaotian nodded. He had wanted to go to the Dragon's Ridge before to establish a sect. However, he had stayed there for a few days, and his hair stood on end. If he did not have great luck and the talent of a young great emperor coupled with the many trump cards he had, he would have died. Previously, Dragon Xiaotian had stayed for 3 days and left. Now, should he go again? Chapter 58:13. The Great Xia dynasty also received the news of the Dragon's Ridge, and there was a lot of discussion. Those disciples were also moved. They also wanted to break through. After all, they also wanted to become great emperors, although the possibility was slim. As the youngest son of the 9th prince, he was already a quasi-emperor. This time, after receiving the news of the Dragon's Ridge, he clenched his fists. I must use the power of the Dragon's Ridge. However, he didn't act rashly. Instead, he went to find his father. He asked his father, hoping that Emperor Xia could give him some advice. Emperor Xia helped them deduce and said casually, "Go and take a look. You won't be in danger this time, but it's not certain whether you can get an opportunity." The 9th prince was happy to hear that. Since his life wasn't in danger, he was ready to go. Not only him, the other princes and princesses were also ready to go. Emperor Xia, with his hands behind his back, went to the 9 heavens. His gaze covered the entire true spirit world. As a great emperor, he could clearly feel that some places in the true spirit world had changed. There were even some forbidden lands showing signs of recovery. Buried Earth Star. A confused voice came from the depths of Mount Eternal. Why would the power of the deity land come at this time? The timing wasn't right. Huangling was also confused. Could it be that something had happened? Had the heavenly secrets changed in advance? Clearly, the existences in these forbidden lands were all supreme existences. They had divined the passage of time. However, the situation now was different from what they had deduced. How could they know? In fact, their deduction wasn't wrong. The situation now was caused by Lin Xian and the half-frog. Both of them were people from 100,000 years in the future. Their arrival here naturally changed some things. Because of that, these forbidden lands of life sent out people to investigate. These people hid in the dark and kept a low profile. On the other side, Lin Xian was beaming. The three demon clans kept attacking and had already obtained more than 4,000 supreme-grade dragon veins. Including the 3,000 from before, they already had 7,000. They were still short of 2,000. He asked the three demon clans to continue working hard. He even taught them mystiques. This was only the beginning of the demon god seal. However, it was enough to make the three great demon clans go wild with joy. They said, "Don't worry, young master. We will collect it as soon as possible." Just a starting gesture had such power. If it was a complete demon god seal, how terrifying would it be? The three great demon clans didn't dare to imagine. After instructing the three demonic races to continue snatching the peak dragon vein, Lin Xian prepared to make his move. Naturally, he had also heard about the news about the Dragon's Ridge. He would not miss this opportunity. Let's go. Lin Xian rose into the air and flew towards Dragon Ridge. With their strength, they arrived at Dragon's Ridge very quickly. At that moment, countless people had arrived at the Dragon's Ridge. However, they were all watching from the outside. No one dared to enter the Dragon Ridge. Furthermore, this scene was extremely bizarre. Outside the Dragon's Ridge, the sky was clear for thousands of miles. Inside the Dragon's Ridge, there was thunder and lightning. The Crimson Dragon didn't come. He was helping to set up the peak-grade spirit veins. The toad rushed over to watch the show. He exclaimed, "Kid, it's really the same as what we encountered back then. Heaven and earth anomaly." It was the dragon god. Some people from the remote antiquity families exclaimed when they saw Lin Xian. After all, Lin Xian's previous actions at the Chaos Wine Party were too shocking. He didn't put the dragon clan in his eyes at all. Naturally, they remembered this young man. The other people also exclaimed, "Is he the young man who challenged the Dragon Clan?" He also came. I wonder if Dragon Shout Eon of the Dragon Clan will come? Everyone was looking forward to it. Not long after, countless dragon roars came from the sky again. Dragon shadows swept across the world. Everyone exclaimed, "He's here." Dragon Shout Eon really came. In the sky, landing the first man is Long Shoutian. He is very handsome. His figure was tall and straight, surrounded by thousands of glory. He was really like a god descending, making countless people look up to him. When Lin Xian saw the other party, he narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, "You still dare to come? Aren't you afraid that I will destroy you?" Everyone's scalp went numb. This guy directly challenged Dragon Shoutian. I wonder if the two sides will fight? Not many people knew about the previous battle with Dragon Shoutian. Therefore, they didn't know that Dragon Shoutian was beaten away by Lin Xian. After Dragon Shoutian heard this, his face was extremely gloomy. He snorted coldly and ignored Lin Xian. Instead, he stared at the Dragon Ridge below. In his eyes, a touch of fire appeared. What a terrifying aura! This Dragon Ridge was indeed mysterious. "You don't even dare to respond to us." The toad sneered. Just like this, he was called a great emperor? The heavens were unfair. The toad jumped out and just wanted to provoke him again. But at this time, between heaven and earth, a terrifying aura came. Everyone was shocked. It was the people of the Great Xia dynasty. This time, 3 princes of the Great Xia dynasty came. In addition to the 9th prince, there was also the 5th prince and the 7th prince. Those 2 people were older and stronger, unfathomable. The Great Xia dynasty came with a strong force, and countless people hurriedly bowed. Even those people of the Dragon Clan were facing a great enemy. Dragon Xiaotian's expression was solemn. The 3 princes came together. It seemed that they were determined to win. Lin Gongzi also came. After the 9th prince saw Lin Xian, he smiled and greeted him. This surprised countless people. It seemed that the relationship between the 2 sides was very good. It was too incredible. How could the relationship between the Dragon Clan and the Great Xia dynasty be good? They were extremely surprised. Even the 5th prince and the 7th prince next to him frowned. 9th brother, you're very familiar with this guy. 5th brother, 7th brother. You just came back from the outside and don't know what happened before. This Lin Gongzi is amazing. Imperial Father had even met him personally. There was such a thing? The two princes were also surprised. They looked at Lin Xian, and their expressions became solemn. They felt an unfathomable and terrifying aura from Lin Xian. This feeling was as if they were facing Dragon Xiaotian. It seemed that he was a top master. Lin Xian also greeted the ninth prince and the others of the great Xia dynasty. Then he walked forward. Was he going to make a move? When the others saw this scene, they all cried out in alarm. Kid, you are too reckless. Do you know what kind of place this Dragon's Ridge is? On the side of the Myriad Dragon clan, someone suddenly said coldly. The people of the great Xia dynasty also frowned. Beside the fifth prince, an old man was surprised. Logically speaking, he shouldn't have been so reckless. Did this brat not have any knowledge at all? The surrounding spectators also shook their heads and sighed. They originally thought that he was quite powerful. However, he actually did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. Was the Dragon's Ridge a place that could be entered casually? That's right. Without seeing Dragon Xiaotian, no one dared to enter. Even the three princes of the great Xia dynasty were there, waiting for a great enemy. This kid went in so easily. Was he not afraid of accidentally dying? Hearing these discussions, Lin Xian laughed. There was an invincible confidence in his eyes. Even if it was the Dragon's Ridge, so what? Even if it was a forbidden land of life, so what? No one can go where I want to go. Chapter 58:14. Lin Xian's words were full of pride, shocking countless people. However, the following words caused the faces of many experts to turn ugly. Lin Xian smiled. What's wrong? You people don't even have the courage to do this? How pathetic. What was the meaning of this? Were they despised? The faces of some of the experts turned ugly. Long Xiaotian snorted coldly, and an extremely sharp light appeared in his eyes. On the side of the great Xia Empire, the fifth prince and the seventh prince were frowning as well. This time, even they were despised by the other party. He was really arrogant. The ninth prince smiled bitterly. He had already seen Lin Xian's arrogance. Therefore, he was not surprised now. Instead, his two brothers were furious. The fifth prince sneered, You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Go in if you have the guts. What's the use of just talking? I want to see. Later. Why are you crying when you come out? I will go in. Lin Xian retracted his gaze, no longer paying attention to these people, and strode towards the Dragon's Ridge. Behind him, the toad also muttered, Kid, be careful. There are so many experts, as if they are facing a great enemy. It is enough to show that the Dragon's Ridge is not simple. Lin Xian naturally knew this. He took a deep breath, and his body bloomed with radiance as he descended. As soon as he entered the Dragon's Ridge, endless lightning struck down from the sky. Lin Xian used his body to resist it, and a roar shook the sky. What a strong physique. This kid was really too strong. The surrounding people were surprised when they saw Lin Xian block the heavenly lightning with only his physique. It should be known that even veteran experts, armed with saint-tier artifacts and armor, would not dare to enter the palace. He had some skills, but this was just the beginning. The fifth prince said in a deep voice. Lin Xian resisted the heavenly lightning and descended towards the Dragon's Ridge again. His eyes bloomed with an extremely terrifying reincarnation power to investigate. He naturally knew that the Dragon's Ridge was not simple. There seemed to be something. When he descended on the Dragon's Ridge, he felt it. A shocking tremor came from beneath the ground, as if it was going to send him flying. He lost his balance and was thrown into the air. All right, that brat is out of luck. The people of the 10,000 dragon tribe laughed coldly. The others were also in an uproar. Was he going to die? However, in the next instant, countless sword cheese tore apart the vibrating power, and he descended once again. Lin Xian's expression was solemn as he landed on the Dragon's Ridge. Then, he closed his eyes. He could sense that there was an enormous creature roaring angrily in the dragon ridge below. Roar! His voice echoed out for millions upon millions of kilometers, and everyone in the area was sent tumbling backward, coughing up mouthfuls of blood. The people of the Great Xia dynasty and the Dragon Clan were also on high alert. Why did it feel like there was a senior of the Dragon Clan here?
Countless people exclaimed.
An extremely cold light burst out from the fifth prince's eyes. The 7 sons were one step ahead of him and rushed over as well. This was because he was very worried that the opportunity would be snatched away by Lin Xian. Brat, come back. The opportunity ahead is not something you can get. The 7th prince's expression was cold, and a cold, murderous intent appeared in his eyes. He would not let Lin Xian succeed. Lin Xian laughed coldly. You didn't dare to come just now, but now that you see that I'm safe and sound, you want to come and snatch the opportunity. There's no such thing in the world.
Get lost.
Lin Xian raised his hand and threw out a heaven-defying punch. The unparalleled fist slammed into the 9 heavens, and an earth-shattering sound was heard as the 7th prince was sent flying. The 7th prince was sent flying, spitting out blood, and cracks appeared on his body.
Damn it! How could he be so terrifying?
He was terrified. As the son of the great emperor, he was personally taught by the great emperor. How terrifying was his strength. In his opinion, only a few of his brothers could become his enemy. In addition, only Long Xiaotian could fight with him. He did not care about the others at all, but now Lin Xian injured him with a single punch. How could he not be shocked? Lin Xian shook his head. You want to fight with me? You're too far away. You'll have to train your physique to perfection first. His words were filled with disdain. This made the 7th prince spit out blood, but the others were shocked. Lin Xian was really too strong. He was indeed qualified to look down on everyone. However, would the Great Xia dynasty let this go? 7th brother, you're too careless. Let's fight together. This is something that we brothers can fight for, but others are not qualified. Hearing this, Huang Juzi also walked out. The 3 disciples would work together to beat the others out, and then the 3 brothers would fight for it. This way, no matter who got it, it would belong to the Great Xia dynasty. It's over. That kid is in danger. 3 against 1, no matter how strong he is, he won't be able to resist. That's right. The Great Xia dynasty is indeed an overlord. Everyone was discussing. Toad was hopping mad. Shameless. Fight me one-on-one if you dare. However, no matter how much he shouted, it was useless. Before he could go up to help, he was stopped by Lin Xian. He said, "Don't come in. This place is dangerous. I feel that there's something below." When they heard this, they quickly stopped. He shouted from afar, "Kid, be careful. If you can't win, run." TSK, this guy is too unloyal. Some of the spectators looked at him with disdain. Toad's face turned red. He then said coldly, "What do you know? This is called strategy." If that kid is in danger, I can go and get help. Are they going to fight? How could I miss it? On the other side, Long Xiaotian also walked forward. "Brother Tian, be careful." Long Yu and the others shouted from behind. Long Qing did not cheer for Long Xiaotian. Her beautiful eyes fell on Lin Xian. It was obvious that she was very interested in Lin Xian. Long Xiaotian also came in. Do you think the 2 of them will join forces? One was called the Dragon King, the other was called the Dragon God. Both of them were from the Dragon Clan. They would definitely join forces to fight against the Great Xia dynasty. Everyone guessed that the people of the Great Xia dynasty were also facing a great enemy. However, Lin Xian said, "Long Xiaotian, don't think about joining forces with me. I don't need it." You? Long Xiaotian was trembling with anger. He did have the intention to join forces, but now he'd changed his mind. "Kid, I'll see how you die later." This brat actually wanted to fight one-on-one and break through the horizon. Wasn't he too reckless? Countless people were stunned when they looked at Lin Xian. Wasn't this guy a little too overconfident? Toad was excited. Hee, just watch. Soon you will know how powerful this kid is.
Come on.
Lin Xian waved his hand. Let me see if you are qualified to be my opponent. At this moment, he was extremely arrogant. Courting death, the seventh prince roared and charged forward. His fists turned into thousands of meteors as he charged forward. The fifth prince also snorted. He waved his sleeve and released a biting cold sword chi. The ninth prince's palm also approached and used a peerless skill. The battle erupted in an instant. An earth-shattering power swept out toward Lin Xian. Chapter 58:15. On the side of the Great Xia dynasty, the three of them joined forces to attack. Long Xiaotian did not participate. He flew directly to the dragon's ridge below. He wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to gain power in advance. Lin Xian was extremely arrogant. He was not afraid in the face of the three princes. He even took the initiative to provoke them. Terrifying power and laws hit Lin Xian's body, but they could not shake his body. Lin Xian also punched out. The heaven-defying fist had the power to defy the heavens. The other hand was the Nine Suns' divine fist, which had the power of the extreme yang. The two collided, and a terrifying aura swept across the area. The roar caused a huge storm. The three princes were forced to retreat. Their blood was boiling, and their faces turned ugly. The three of them could not suppress the other party. Damn it, I don't believe it. The fifth prince's figure became taller, as if he had turned into a god of war. A terrifying hurricane formed on the seventh prince's side. It had a destructive power that tore the void apart. The ninth prince had formed a pair of strange eyes that would cause one's soul to tremble just by looking at them. The three of them had their own methods and quickly attacked. The towering god of war giant slapped out with a palm. Its power was much stronger than before. The destructive storm was extremely strange. It came without a trace and instantly came to Lin Xian's side. The ninth prince's terrifying eyes were a pair of black eyes that shrouded Lin Xian's soul. This was an ultimate skill. The three martial monarch's sons had finally unleashed their strongest ultimate skills. The spectators exclaimed again, "Can this dragon god withstand it?" Lin Xian roared to the sky. Good. Lin Xian's fist carried a heaven-defying power and fiercely hit the palm of the god of war. The two collided, and the roar was like 100,000 heavenly thunders. The giant figure was sent flying. That arm was severed and turned into a bloody mist that filled the sky. The fifth prince screamed in pain as he was sent flying. Lin Xian waved his arm, and a biting cold sword chi slashed at the surrounding storm. It was useless. The seventh prince roared, "The wind is shapeless. You can't hit it." Sure enough, the storms instantly dispersed and gathered in other places. Lin Xian snorted coldly. So, what if it's invisible? Even if it was the void, I would be able to slice it apart, let alone a mere storm like you. After the sharp sword chi slashed down, the wind was actually destroyed. The seventh prince's face turned ferocious. How is this possible? He seemed to have seen the most frightening thing. The invisible wind was actually cut. What kind of swordsmanship was this? Puff. He spat out a mouthful of blood as his body was split into two halves. He was so scared that he quickly retreated. However, Ninth Prince's black eyes had already enveloped Lin Xian's soul. This battle was over. Prince Josie said coldly. He was extremely confident in his eye technique. I didn't expect you to use an eye technique. However, you should also experience my dojutsu. Lin Xian's Rinnegan has opened, blooming with incomparable brilliance. The power of the samsara appeared. Heavenly Tao. A pair of hands slapped out, slapping the black eyes towards Prince Josie. Prince Josie spat out a mouthful of blood as his face turned extremely ugly. How is this possible? Your soul is also so powerful. His fifth brother's physique was terrifying, but the person in front of him was even more terrifying. His seventh brother's laws were mysterious, but the other party could cut through them with a sword. Prince Jiozi's soul was strong, and his opponent's soul shouldn't be strong. However, he didn't expect the other party's soul to be so heaven-defying. Does this person have no weakness? He couldn't understand. In the blink of an eye, the three princes were defeated. Each of them was extremely embarrassed. The surrounding spectators were dumbfounded. How could this be? This dragon god was too terrifying. He was extremely strong. No wonder he was so arrogant. He had the right to be arrogant. The faces of the three disciples turned extremely ugly. At this moment, something happened below them. The mountain range below them started to rumble. The roar of a giant dragon resounded between heaven and earth, sweeping across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Everyone's soul shook violently, and they couldn't help but want to kneel down. What is this? The 3 martial monarchs' sons were terrified. Even Lin Xian slammed into the ground. Had Dragon Shout Yan activated something? His body swayed, and he quickly descended. At the same time, the dragon scales below seemed to have come alive and let out a rumbling sound. This couldn't be a dragon vein, right? Countless people were terrified. Those from the dragon tribe were also shocked. What a powerful Tao of dragon. It's not just a dragon vein. This dragon vein might be alive. What does this mean? Countless young people were shocked. The older generation said, the dragon vein has spirituality and can cultivate. No way. However, there were also experts who said, there's another possibility. This is not a dragon vein at all. This is a dragon that's trapped here. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Let's go. Some people couldn't help but want to rush over to see what opportunities there were. The 3 martial monarchs' sons landed on the ground too. As soon as they landed, they could feel a great impact. Lin Xian's face turned pale. This dragon vein is too terrifying. Its power is almost comparable to that of a great emperor. However, it was not a real great emperor, so he could still resist it. Even if it was a great emperor, he would have the sky-devouring jar to fight against it. Therefore, after Lin Xian landed, he looked around frantically. Dragon Shout Yan also went crazy. At this moment, everyone's eyes were burning. However, those who were weak were directly shattered, and they retreated frantically. At this moment, huge rocks rolled down the entire mountain range. Scales appeared. Oh my god, it's really a dragon. At this moment, someone exclaimed. Everyone looked carefully. Sure enough, the rocks on the mountain fell down, and a part really appeared. The metal-like scales were as big as a house. They shone with a cold light, shining in all directions. This is the senior of the dragon tribe, Dragon Shout Yan shouted angrily. Those who are not from the dragon tribe, get lost. He waved his hand, and thousands of dragons roared, turning into countless crazy attacks in all directions. Countless people were sent flying by this punch, coughing up mouthfuls of blood. Dragon Shout Yan, you've gone too far.
Why?
I'm Dragon Shout Yan. If you're not convinced, come and die. After saying that, Dragon Shout Yan punched out with both fists. At this moment, the dragon's shadow circled between heaven and earth. Many strong resistance forces were directly penetrated. As for the others, they were crushed into a mist of blood by the dragon's phantom. Countless people died with a single blow. Dragon Shout Yan's strength terrified everyone. Dragon Shout Yan, you're too arrogant. The 3 princes joined forces and attacked Dragon Shout Yan, trying to suppress him. The 2 sides fought fiercely. Dragon Shout Yan was indeed strong. His strength was comparable to Lin Xian. The 3 princes joined forces, but they could not catch the other party. Instead, they were beaten back continuously. The 2 sides fought fiercely. The force blasted on the dragon ridge, causing more rocks to fall. Gradually, a dragon's body appeared. Not only that, but at this moment, an even louder dragon roar was heard. Countless mountains shattered, and a dragon's head appeared. Chapter 58:16. That dragon head was really too huge, taller than a mountain. As soon as it appeared, it roared to the sky, its dragon horns like two divine weapons piercing into the sky. This shocking scene shocked countless people. Now, they knew that this dragon ridge was indeed a dragon, and it was a super powerhouse of the dragon clan. Could it be that it's sleeping here, and we've disturbed its cultivation? Countless people were terrified. Those of the dragon clan even knelt on the ground. Greetings, senior. Dragon Shoutian was also extremely shocked. He could feel that the giant dragon in front of him was much more terrifying than him. There was actually such a powerhouse in the dragon clan? It was too shocking. Lin Xian also took a deep breath, and his expression became extremely solemn. A powerhouse of the dragon clan, 100,000 years ago, he had never heard of it before. The mountain-like dragon had appeared and let out a series of roars, creating tens of thousands of black holes in the void. A terrifying sound attracted all directions. Those who were weak had already run away, and those who couldn't run in time died. As for those who were more powerful, they were swaying in the wind and rain. Under this voice, they were swaying. Lin Xian used the power of his divine body to resist, and at the same time, the power of the 6 paths of reincarnation surrounded him. He rose into the air and stood in the void. Did this powerhouse of the dragon clan want to come out? Sure enough, the dragon had roared, and a pair of dragon claws gradually broke out of the ground. Its body moved and it wanted to leave. But at this time, it wailed, and the sky fell and the earth cracked, and more mountains cracked. Everyone looked at the scene in front of them, stunned. Lin Xian's pupils also shrank. At this time, he saw the giant dragon's body, which was tens of thousands of miles long, fixed to the ground by a sword. That sword was extremely sharp, blooming with a green light, and from far away, it made their hair stand on end. What kind of sword was this? It could actually nail the powerhouse of the dragon clan here? No. How could it be like this? Who was it? The elders of the dragon clan roared crazily. They looked at Dragon Shoutian. Dragon King, please help. Long Shoutian also stretched out a big hand, like a dragon claw, to grab the cyan long sword, wanting to take it away. However, the green long sword let out a ferocious sound and directly cut the dragon claw into 2 halves. Dragon Shoutian also stepped back a few steps. His face became gloomy and cold. What a terrible sword. Damn it. The one who sealed the experts of our dragon race. Was he captured by the Grand Xia Empire? Dragon Shoutian suddenly turned his head and stared at the 3 princes. The 3 martial monarchs' sons wore unpleasant expressions, as if they were facing a formidable foe. Among them, the 5th prince snorted coldly. Dragon Shoutian, there are some things that you shouldn't spout nonsense about. Do you think it's just suppression? I would have destroyed your souls long ago. Once those words were spoken, the others all grew silent. Indeed, what kind of people couldn't be killed by a great emperor clan? It wouldn't be used just to suppress him. Could it be someone else? Finally, a clan leader of a remote antiquity family said, "The Dragon's Ridge is terrifying." Before the Grand Xia Empire, the Dragon's Ridge had already existed for too many years. No one knew when it started to appear. Therefore, it shouldn't be done by the Grand Xia Empire. Indeed, the Dragon's Ridge had already existed before the Grand Xia Empire, and it was extremely mysterious. It seemed like it was done by someone else. The 9th prince used his eye technique and looked ahead carefully, as if he wanted to see the sword clearly. At this moment, the sword let out a ferocious sound. The 9th prince quickly closed his eyes, his face pale. "9th brother, are you okay?" the 7th prince asked. The 9th prince shook his head. After a while, he said 2 words with difficulty. "Dragon Slayer." What did that mean? Everyone was stunned. Lin Xian said, "There are 2 words engraved on the hilt of the sword. Dragon Slayer." He also used his eye of the 6 paths of reincarnation and discovered this matter. He frowned. Dragon Slayer sword? This name was really arrogant. How would it compare to his immortal slaying sword? Roar. At this moment, the true dragon in front of them started to roar, wanting to break through. However, after a few attempts, It didn't succeed. Instead, it tore the void into pieces. Dragon Shout Eon took a deep breath and prepared to take action. However, after a few attempts, he returned without success. This Dragon Slayer sword was too strange. The three princes didn't take action. They said, "We can only ask our father for help." They looked into the distance. However, there was no need for them to inform them. With their father's strength, he wouldn't know what was happening in the universe. The quasi-emperors all knew that such a shocking change had happened in the Dragon's Ridge. How could their imperial father not know? Did he not take action because the other party was from the Dragon Clan? Those from the Dragon Clan also knelt on the ground and kowtowed to the sky. "Emperor Xia, please take action. The Dragon Clan will be eternally grateful." Dragon Xiaoyan's eyes flashed. At this moment, he couldn't stay silent. He said, "Emperor Xia, please take action. I owe your Grand Xia Empire a favor." This was a heavy promise. After all, after Emperor Xia, Dragon Xiaotian was very likely to become the next emperor. If he owed a favor at this time, he probably wouldn't take action against the Grand Xia Empire in the future. In the sky, a sigh came. Then, the imperial aura spread across thousands of miles. Emperor Xia, dressed in his imperial robe, walked out. "Greetings, Emperor Xia." Countless people bowed. Lin Xian, Dragon Xiaotian, and the others also cupped their fists and bowed. The people of the Dragon Clan were excited. Is Emperor Xia going to take action? That's great. When the Emperor takes action, there's nothing he can't do. The true dragon below also raised its head. Its mountain-like head looked at Emperor Xia with a touch of excitement in its eyes. Emperor Xia sighed. He didn't know why he sighed. However, he still said, "I'll try." He reached out a hand and grabbed downward. He was about to grab the Dragon Slayer sword. However, at this moment, the Dragon Slayer sword emitted a sword aura that pierced through heaven and earth. Then, dark clouds gathered in the sky. There were red thunderbolts flashing, as if they were about to strike. This was a type of destructive power that caused everyone to feel despair. Even Emperor Xia's pupils shrank. He retracted his palm and confronted the red thunderbolts in the sky. Everyone went crazy. Why do I feel that this thunderbolt can threaten Emperor Xia? The others also shook their heads frantically. This is impossible. The three princes roared. Father is the strongest person in the universe. Who can threaten him? The people of the Dragon Clan were also stunned. This destructive power seemed to be able to kill everything in an instant. Even Dragon Xiaotian was facing a great enemy. He had secretly used several trump cards. He even took out the Immortal Talisman, because this thunderbolt really made him feel fatal. What the hell is this? At this moment, no one dared to take action again. Only the true dragon below let out a wail. It was desperate. The toad jumped over and said, "Boy, it turned out to be this thing. Could it be that they did it?" Lin Xian frowned tightly. How could he not recognize this red thunderbolt? This was God's punishment. You're tuning into the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.